Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of In My Cousin's Basement. I'm your co-host, Tim Patrick, and always with me is the woman who carries the child while Randall signs off on all the videos, like the big black cock with pearly white cump and all the other ones with Randu.
What's up, dude?
I don't know. I got nothing today.
You got nothing today?
At least I got it out that time.
Yeah. Out of your mouth?
Yes.
Yeah, that... You talking about the lady that comes in and asks for the...
Happy Scrappy Hero Pup.
Yeah, and he's
with a little
ordering
girl.
all the porn videos?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a little
And
girl.
he's like, hey, what's that video again?
Yeah. She likes it, obviously.
So, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. A hot minute.
It's been a hot minute since we've done a podcast, and kind of excited for this one since it's Halloween, and it's probably our favorite time of the year, right?
Yeah, always.
What do you want to call this podcast? This is our Halloween 2024 podcast.
That, or we gotta come up with something clever, like maybe Halloween plus others, or like Halloween, like how Paramount Plus has the plus.
Yeah,
Halloween Plus.
This Halloween Plus 2024.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that.
Something like that.
All right, folks, that's what we're calling it. This one, the Halloween Plus 2024 podcast. Today we have some pretty good topics and some good side topics, I think.
Of course, about Halloween and
other things, movies, maybe some stuff in pop culture that's going on. I'll let you kick it off, Tim. Which topic you want to start off today with?
Let's save the Halloween till later. Let's start with our prequel, requel, sequel.
Okay.
In your opinion, what is better, prequels, sequels, or requels?
In my opinion, so depends on the movie, obviously.
Obviously.
But I'd say for most movies, I would say it has to be, in my opinion, the prequels, because by the time the story is already told, it's hard to live up the hype once the story is told. So, for example, like if there's a good story out there, like a TV show, we'll call it, Game of Thrones, right? How do you continue off of Game of Thrones, right? With the sequel going off what they left off, whatever, or just a show that's that good. But if you do a prequel to how everything came to there, people want to know that story more than they want to know what happens after the fact. Not saying that's not true. I guess it just really depends on the movie or the show. I would say for most part of the time, though, the prequel has to be... It has to be a prequel. I mean, that's just in my brain. That's the way I look at it for all the movies. I think I've had just so many bad sequels to movies. It's put a bad taste in my mouth over the years. And I'm trying to think one off the top of my head. Maybe...
Star Wars?
Yeah, Star Wars could be one, but I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, so I don't care about it. I think a lot of people would say Star Wars, but I'm sure there's Halloween movies or other movies that could be considered bad sequels. But for prequels, I'd say... what's that prequel that's coming out right now? Like the one for did that one ever come out?
No, not yet.
And that's supposed to be a prequel, right?
Dairy.
Yeah. Something like that. People always want to tell the story before of what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it'd be cool if they did a prequel for Michael Myers, for Halloween.
Oh,
why they haven't done one like that? Like how he grew up, but I guess it's not. Maybe there's not much story to tell. He was just a little kid and just
killed his sister.
I mean, I don't
Sorry.
know. What about you?
Well, for me, I like the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
Prequels are bad in a way because, like I was saying, like with Star Wars, you have the story, but then it's like, okay, now we're going back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why didn't you do the beginning first? There's a bunch of movies, even with Game of Thrones, it would have been better if they started with the backstory, kind of like how Marvel does it.
Yep.
They have the build up of the character. You understand where they got their powers or whatever, and then they went on with the story. That's what I like.
You know what? I agree with that take. I really do, because if you think about it, like look at Harry Potter, for example, right?
Exactly.
They started when he was young. Could you imagine if they started when he was a little older and they're like, oh, we're gonna go back to when he was younger?
Right.
People have been pissed because that's how the books follow, and a lot of movies are made after books, really. So traditionally, you should start at the beginning, because that's the best way to tell the story, not tell it half-assed and then go back to the beginning and
It's
tell
like
it.
Spoilers, like the Darth Vader. You know what happens after the three.
But I get it. But like there's stories like Game of Thrones that are written, and people are like, well, I want to know like what happened before then. Well, and George R.R. Martin didn't have it written, so he just came up with what he had and gave it to him to make the sequel, like
Right.
or the prequel, whatever it is. So I get it. That's usually what happens after the fans are really hyped up because you just don't know how the movies are going to turn out to be really.
Right.
But I actually didn't think about that. I agree with that.
But I do agree with your part of it when you said about the sequels. There's too many of them sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just you have too many cooks in the kitchen, or not enough Indians kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where you have so many different people writing continuous stories.
Too many
about
chiefs and not enough
things.
Indians.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's just they're like with Jason. I love the Jason Friday the 13th series.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, not all of them, because I didn't like the writing or just the acting and stuff was cool. The kills were cool, stuff like that. But it's just like, dude, let it go. Okay, he's dead. Okay, now you put him in space. Oh fuck, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah,
and it's like then you got not with him, but like with Leprechaun. There's 2 times he went in the hood. It's like, okay, why didn't you just continue that story?
The thing with me about that too is it's with the sequels is they just let them keep going.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, so when do you cut the sequels off?
Exactly. You can't kill them off because you just brought them back.
Well, well, that, and it's like Fast and Furious is a good one. They just continue to do them on. Are they considered sequels, or what do you consider them when they just keep going
it's
on?
not the next day.
No.
That's what the first 3 Jasons are. It's the next day,
Mm-hmm.
the Saturday the 14th and Sunday the 15th kind of thing. At least those continued on with each other. But other ones, like with Freddy, totally different. From 1 to 2 to 3 even. That's what I'm just saying with horror movies in general. Not just with anything like with Star Wars. It wasn't the same guy who played Anakin each time.
They're the one, I guess you could say, that
Exception to the rule.
Exception, because they started at the end and then went back to the beginning.
Right, they went to the middle, back to the beginning, back to the end.
Yeah, which is weird, and people seem to really like it. But I agree, like it was just I mean, they are the reason they're that popular because of the story, but at the same time, that's not really the rule.
Right. Yeah,
it's exception to the rule, I would say.
It's like getting your favorite book and just look at the pictures first, and then reading the story.
Yeah, it's like it's like skipping the book and going all the way to the end, and then going back to the beginning to figure out what happened.
Right, exactly.
It'd be weird.
Right.
I could imagine doing that, but maybe some people that's what they're into.
Each their own.
Yeah. And what's a requel? I can't remember exactly what.
Requel is the reboot.
That's right, the reboot.
Yeah. Reboots.
There's not many reboots I could say that I've actually been like, wow, the reboot's better than the original.
I don't think I can even think of one reboot that's actually better.
Jay and Silent reboot.
Yeah, that was not great though. That went along with one of our other topics of people who put their kids in their movie and having them, it's the son of something like Beverly Hills Cop and stuff like that.
The reboots, it sucks, but they do it because they already know they have a fan base set in stone, and they're like, people are gonna come out and watch it if we do.
They want to bring them out from out from the couch to go in the seats.
Yes. And I'm trying to think of what is there. Do you know a good reboot off the top of your head that you can remember? They tried rebooting Overboard and it was awful. They tried rebooting Point Break. It was awful.
That was awful. Yeah. Overboard was awful.
Yeah. I mean, at least they tried it with a different thing, which was a girl, not a guy this time, or whatever, and everything like that. But still, you just can't beat the original one, right?
Exactly.
Roadhouse was bad.
Oh,
that just came out.
I have not seen that yet.
And they're supposed to be making another one.
Oh, because they had another part 2 too, the original.
Yep. It's.
Let it go.
I thought it was bad. I mean, as much as I like Jake Gyllenhaal and some of the actors that were in there, or whatever, and it's like, dude, you guys just
can't Swayze, man.
You can't Swayze it. I know we've talked about those movies.
Same thing
before.
with Point Break. You can't Swayze and Keanu it.
Yeah. I hope they. Hey, the Point Break. Boy, that's one movie you just can't do that.
Actually, think one right now is Red Dawn wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. I mean, of course, Swayze was that one too, but at the same time, it was they updated it from the Cubans and Russians because we were in the Cold War kind of thing, Reagan administration shit.
Yeah.
But then they updated it to more like Afghanistan kind of, the stands that are fighting against us and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that I understand that was cool. That they just rebooted they just redid the war that we were at the time, and then they left a lot of other things out, and then updated everything else. Right, kind of say.
Yeah.
It wasn't horrible. Like I said, it wasn't horrible. It was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But I still choose the original. Swayze,
I think that's most people. They just choose original. But yeah, there's always gonna be a fine line with prequels and sequels because it just depends on the movie and the genre, right?
Well, think of this too. Like I'm gonna use your word, your double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, you're almost 40. I'm halfway to 50,
Mm-hmm.
almost. And whatever movie we grew up on, we're going to like more.
Right.
And then whatever Lincoln's growing up to that now, he's going to like that one and say our movie's old.
Yeah.
And we're going to say our movie's too new.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with music.
Mm-hmm.
We would complain that our music is too old.
Mm-hmm.
And then our parents would yell at us saying our music's too loud. So then you got to put a juxtaposition. Was it jukes? You know what I'm saying? I don't know the word where you switch words, whatever, jukes on it. You juke it basically, where you could say, instead of saying if it's too loud, you're too old, you could say if it's too old, you're too loud.
Yeah.
Same thing with movies.
Yeah, the way I think about that too, because I've thought about that for a long time. Like, you know, we've talked about it, I think, on the podcast maybe once or twice before, but every generation thinks their music and movies and everything is the best, right?
Of course.
And I had this argument on Instagram with some guy the other day. It wasn't really an argument. We talked about it because it was I follow those nostalgia channels, or whatever, and they talked about. He's like, yeah, I'm sick of seeing all these nostalgia stuff. Why do people care about the '90s so much, or whatever? It's gone and beyond and whatever. And I commented, I said, dude, you got to realize people that grew up in the 90s, we had this era of stuff that you guys won't ever get. It's like the pop culture explosion in the 90s. It's the biggest it's ever been in culture, right?
Yeah.
Like from the clothing, the music, the styles and stuff that we just wore. You're seeing people wear it nowadays.
Yeah.
And all that stuff's coming back. You're seeing kids wearing like neon green shit, Jinkos and all this stuff. Like there was just an explosion of like pop culture back then. And
Well, that's how it was for the 90s. You know, people were wearing bell bottoms.
Right. I mean, and not just that, but between movies, music, games, and everything. I mean, we had, and the internet going on at the same time. It was just a crazy era to live through. And what's been done since the 90s, there's nothing. The only greatest invention we talked about before is the cell phone. Right. That's the greatest thing that's been done. And that's saying it's not a great invention. It is also having the power of a computer in your hand.
Right.
And in a form of a phone. But the thing is, it's like nothing really has changed in society. So, like, if you look at everybody, what is everybody doing nowadays? They're copying things from the 90s, right?
Yep.
And everybody wants to go back. Even the movies, you know, they're copying. Even the music is going to start copying before you know it. And
some of them are actually back on tour and stuff again, too.
yeah, and I said it to this guy best. I said the reason why everything was so good and nice because it was so simplistic. Like, going to the mall and going shopping was very easy, and like seeing everybody wearing their different styles was very cool. It's like you don't see that anymore. Like styles aren't really a big thing in trends anymore. And then the same thing with the music. We grew up in an era where music was exploding with all these new genres that you don't have of explosion in music right now. Everything's turned to pop, this and that. It's like that's not really creating a new genre,
right?
You know, pop rap or pop country or whatever it is. It's like okay, well, what about some actual real explosion music where they had like grunge or heavy metal? Or what's it called, alternative, and you know today they're like, oh, we got pop alternative. It's like, what the fuck is pop alternative? Just call it pop music. You know, it's just you know you can call it popular culture. It's not alternative music. That
all this is the same shit, just with a word thrown in front of it. An adjective thrown in front of it.
Pretty much, and you know, and my point of it, and I said, and he got back with me about saying some stuff, and he's like, well, that's just because you know you lived in a different generation time. I said, here's why people really enjoyed the 90s. I kind of just tried to like sum it up for him. I said, we lived in a time where everything was simple, but also we had just the right amount of everything. We had the right amount of time of internet. We didn't have so much internet where that's how we consumed our lives. Like the phones that consumed, what was the word I used? We had the right amount of tech that didn't consume our lives like it does now with computers and TVs and everything else that we use. Everything was simple back then. If you used your computer, it was for a certain thing, and that was it, you know? Yep. We had video game consoles that were separate from the computer. Man, we had computer games, but it wasn't like it is today. Like everything was just more simple and more. People went outside more. People socialized more.
Exercised.
Yeah, society wasn't so divided. You know, there's a handful of things of why people like the 90s, and it's like you're never going to be encapsulate what happened in the 90s, and that's why people hold on to it so dear and near, and that's why it's such a big thing now. And that was my point, and it's like people just don't think about it that way because everyone's like, well, my generation's the best because of so-and-so. It's like, well, if that's true, then why do all the movies use all the 90s and 80s music for TV shows? You don't see everyone using Little Xanax or whatever the fuck his name is for a movie, right? Because their music is shit.
Is that actually a guy?
I don't know. I just made it
up.
I'm just making names up. And I'm not going to sit there and act like a grandpa and be like, oh, there's no good music nowadays. There's good music nowadays, right? And it's harder to find, but pop culture music is trash Rap nowadays is trash. Pop country is fucking trash. I don't care what anybody says. The newer shit, it all sounds the same, you know? And I just can't get behind it. It just, I feel like the music nowadays takes zero talent, and people are just, they're just quick to do anything to make a quick buck. And people just don't put the effort they used to put into anything. Like, even in the 80s and 90s, when you bought a toy or bought a laptop or computer or whatever else, it's like, dude, these things would last forever. Last 10 years, 15 years, you know?
Yeah.
Shit today, it's just not made the way it is back then. And that's another reason people like it. I mean, you could buy a fucking swing set and it probably lasts you 20 or 30 years. Nowadays, you'd be lucky to maybe get 10 years out of a swing set. And you probably spend $1,500 on one or whatever.
Right.
I'm just making shit up now.
No, I
but,
got you. Yeah.
but I mean, that's why,
sense,
I mean, it's just cars. I mean, you can go down the list of how everything has just changed from, everything's been cheapoed out.
Yeah. Recycled.
Recycled, well, maybe a little bit, but I think it's just people care more about the mighty dollar than actually care about what they actually put out. I'm not saying like every artist and every person out there doesn't care about what they put out in their product, but it seems like everybody's just in it to get in as fast as possible, make their money, and get out, huh?
In it to win it.
Yeah, so that's my long rant about the 90s, but
that sounds good.
I think that's a reason why there's just so many people that are old. They're married to their ways and stuff, but for some reason the 90s and 80s, it's very hard to disagree and argue with the generation explosion of shit that we went through, from the tech boom, from music and pop culture and everything. It's just you won't find that generation ever again.
No, definitely.
You know, and you saw it was influential just through the music. You would see people how they would dance and do stuff in the music, and that would influence pop culture. Like the music and stuff nowadays in the movies, they don't influence pop culture anymore.
No,
that's not how it is anymore. That used to be like, Donnie from Backstreet Boys is wearing like this cool outfit and these like, you know, these like what they used to wear, like the windbreakers and all the bullshit, whatever.
I don't know, I guess.
I'm just making shit up,
Yeah.
right? But the windbreakers used to be big, right? And
Yeah.
like the starter jackets and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And so you'd see those guys wearing it, and guess what? They wear. I'm sure people still dress, the celebrities, whatever. People like fucking gawk after what they wear and do stuff, but it's like, it's not a cheap. A lot of those clothes are like really flamboyant or just really like expensive clothes that most people don't have the money to afford. It's like in the 90s, more people wear like more traditional things that everybody could wear and everybody
Right.
could afford, right?
Right.
It just seemed like it was more simple back then. And that's, I need to end my rant and shut the fuck up about it. So,
It's all good.
yeah, that was it on it. But what's the next topic?
You kind
we
of
got?
touched on the trends right there.
What trends?
The trend topic. You kind of touched a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean a little bit. I mean, I'll go to the next topic and say, you know, what movies and tropes wouldn't fly nowadays in movies, and this could be
There
any
are
time.
so many. I mean, I've been like, I think when I sent you that, I was watching Freddy Got Fingered. A movie like that would never ever be made now.
Yeah.
Not even a second of it.
Well, it's funny that you say that too, because I've been reading a lot of articles. I tend to do this when I'm at work. I read a bunch of dumb shit, and I go down a rabbit hole reading stuff from people. And some of these articles are just so clickbait because of the head title, they get you sucked in. But some of them are pretty good. And the one I read was they went to a college and they showed the kids American Pie, the original one. And a lot of kids, you know, majority of the kids laughed or whatever, but a lot of them found it offensive. And, you know, because this culture of kids are just so pussified with everything.
Wow.
And they're like, this movie would never fly today. Like, you know, they're doing this stuff with women and they're sexualized women and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, it's a high school movie. Like, the 90s were big on high school movies.
That's what we did in the 90s,
Right.
son.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. And the movies back then were made really good. That's why all those high school movies are popular. They're still popular now, you know, like
Right.
10 Things I Hate About You, high school movie or whatever, you know,
Right.
or whatever it was. I mean, I could go on a list of, what was another one? John Walker Must Die. I'm trying to remember.
Slums of Hollywood, or what was that one? The Slums of Beverly Hills? Or
Yeah, something like that. Or Clueless. Or just keep going on the list. I mean, you
Yeah.
can keep naming all these movies in high school. That was a popular culture thing, was to make movies after The Breakfast Club. You know, you just keep naming them. 16
Scream.
Candles.
16 Candles, yeah.
And the point was, it's like, dude, it wasn't that sexualized children are doing this or something. It showed the life of a teenager. Boys are horny. They're in school. What do they think about? They think about sports and getting laid and hanging out with their bros and doing stuff and partying, just like girls do. Like,
Right.
girls think the same shit. And they showed the life of a guy who was a nerd with friends, and he fucked American Pie and did all this funny stuff. But it's supposed to be funny. Like, his dad
Yeah.
caught him. It was funny.
His
like,
dad was like, well, maybe we can tell your mother we
we'll
trapped
tell
it.
your mother we ate the pie. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like Stifler. Everybody knew a Stifler, the guy that was life of the party,
the
or whatever,
asshole.
and the
Yeah.
asshole, whatever. And somehow he always got the girls, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you got other guys who got the girls in silent, and it's like, But then the day, like they friends made pacts and like did funny shit. Like that's a great movie.
Right.
That's a great movie.
It's a perfect sums up the '90s perfectly.
It sounds like the '90s, but it sounds like probably like '80s or most general. It probably sends up culture nowadays with kids nowadays.
It's life. How about that?
Yeah, it's life. Every kid goes through it and it's like, oh, we went to first base, I touched the boob.
Yeah.
You know, and they talk about it with all their
yes, you
you
told
know,
everybody.
or I went to second base or whatever the
I
fuck
got her
it was.
panties.
You know, whatever. Yeah, you know, your first base making out, second base boobs, whatever.
Yeah.
Third base, you know, and then home run, and then you know how
Right.
it goes. So, to me, when I can't believe there's kids in college that are 18 to 21 that would find that movie offensive. But actually, in this day and age, I'm not surprised because there's so many fucking weird people out there in the world that couldn't just.
They don't socialize.
That's not just that. It's like it's a movie. It's not supposed to be made for real. And it's
Right.
like, well, there's so many people out in the world now that get sexually harassed and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, that's been happening for years. You know, it's called being a grown up and then taking care of business when something like that happens. Not saying I condemn any of the shit that's happening, but it's like, dude, it's a movie, dude. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
You know.
It's not a video of your life or your best friend or anything like that. It's just a fucking movie.
Yeah, it's
there to
it's supposed to be
entertain.
it's supposed to be a comedy movie at the end of the day too. Like it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like simplify some
Coming of
things.
age thing.
Coming of age, exactly, perfect. But there's other movies like that too. I mean, not just American Pie. There was another movie not too long ago. What was that movie? Let's just say pretty much any comedy movie made in the '90s wouldn't fly nowadays.
Yeah, pretty much. And even of course the '70s because Mel Brooks and stuff
'70s
like
and
that.
'80s. Well, yeah, sure.
But it's just because of all the connotations. If the second somebody nowadays sees some secretary get her butt smacked by one of the actors or whatever, it's just like then it's like, oh my god, why didn't he sue her or was she hurt?
Well, someone said another one that wouldn't be made today was Austin Powers. Austin
Yeah.
Powers wouldn't be made today, and Mike Myers is fucking hilarious.
Right.
For those kind of movies and stuff he did. Like, again, same thing, sexualizing women, doing all this stuff. But it's like, dude, he was considered a womanizer. That's what he was. That was the point of the funny
Swinger.
thing. Swinger. He came from England. He's supposed to be sent from the 50s or whatever it was, or 60s.
60s.
And that's what they did back then. They danced, and he was supposed to be. All women loved him for some reason.
Goofy fucking hair with his
So
hairy
same thing.
chest
They
and
said
goofy
that
teeth.
some people are saying they wouldn't even know if Ace Ventura would fly today.
Really?
Yeah, some people are saying that too. I'm like, I don't believe that because that was more of a kids movie, more family oriented movie.
Well, not really, because he's fucking Courtney Cox in it, and then you got the Cannibal Corpse part.
That's true
Some
too.
of the-
I mean,
some of the language.
yeah,
not too
that's
bad.
true. I mean, I guess it depends on which one. The first one maybe not as much. The second one where they're in Africa, or wherever he's at, it's like
Yeah,
that's more,
yeah.
a little bit better, or whatever.
Yeah. But still, that's stuff like Tommy Boy. You have your buddies that go on road trips with you, or
Tommy Boy or Black Sheep.
or fucking Adam Sandler movies. I mean, come on, dude.
Adam Sandler movies probably wouldn't fly nowadays.
Exactly.
As much as the Water Boy having a kid that could be disabled or whatever, playing football and
Show
something.
the Clan Man.
I-
Hey boy, you won't get that boy.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. The comedy movies have been killed because of the woke culture.
Yeah.
It's just what it is, right? It's
I agree.
everybody's afraid to make a movie and be in the headline and the news and get canceled over making a movie. And it's like, the funny thing is when they try to cancel like Dave Chappelle and they try to cancel all this other stuff that's all comedy. It's like all it did was make it bigger and they exploded even
Gave
more.
them publicity.
Well, and what's weird about it is it's like when we go for like movies and tropes that couldn't be done today. It's like, well, comedy movies is a big one. What are some tropes that couldn't be done today? I guess
Racist jokes.
right. That's a given. Racist jokes will not be unless you're.
They are like they're snuck in there though.
Sometimes they are snuck in there, but like even in the '90s, like when their kid movies or whatever, like they would say like some crude jokes or whatever. I'm trying to think of a movie off the top of my head. I don't know. There wasn't anything in Sandlot, was there? Or maybe Stand By Me. They said some shit in there in Stand By Me that probably wouldn't fly nowadays,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Probably.
Um,
That probably did too though, because he kissed the girl when he was acting like he was drowning. or whatever.
yeah, you're probably right. Just like the guy that's in. Well, I mean, every kid is like fantasized about being with some like
Especially the lifeguard. She's
a good-looking lifeguard or a good-looking older guy or whatever it is.
Right.
It's like that happens a lot. That's not. But yeah, they'll be like, oh, that's child predator stuff, kind of stuff. It's like, well, he kissed her doing it. It's like she did him and called him a pervert.
and she liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just shut the fuck up. Your argument is invalid.
And then
she liked it.
they got married and had 6 kids later in
Right.
life or whatever. It's
Right.
like, okay, well, it's different. If it's not,
It's just our mentality.
right? It's our mentality. It's the way we grew up too, right? I mean,
We saw that stuff all the time. It doesn't bother us. We are so conditioned to see shit like that happening,
Well,
it doesn't bother us anymore.
I will say this too: a movie trope in Hollywood or whatever that won't happen nowadays anymore. You won't see just all white people in a movie anymore, right? You have to see the black people. You have to have the diversity in there, or whatever.
The black girl.
But you can have an all black movie, you can have an all Mexican movie, or whatever else is. But you can't have an all white people movie anymore because that used to be the Hollywood, standard. Because that's all we did, whatever. And it's like, if that's all you're looking for is race, there's plenty of movies that are not all white people. But back in the day, that's what it was. Guess what? Majority of people live in America were white. We didn't have a lot of diversity back then. Diversity has grown since we made movies in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. Not saying we didn't have people here. We did. It's just, you're probably right. It was probably more given to white people back then because they were probably more qualified because we used to actually do things off qualifications, and now... Huh? Yeah. And it's like, okay, so it's like, I don't want to make this political or, get anything in identity politics or anything weird about that. But at the same time, it's like the course has been corrected and changed. And I think it's going to start going back because people have realized in movies, it's like, dude, if you're just going to hire people based off their race or skin color, it's like, and they're not qualified to do the job, it's like, well, they suck at acting. Like, just get someone in there who's good at acting. We've talked about that before, too, where... I don't care what their race, gender, sex, whatever it is. It's like, as long as they're part of the movie and they actually fit, and it's organic, just fucking put them in the movie and let's do it.
And don't just put them in there just to put them in there.
Right.
Actually make them give that, earn that part.
The box checking. So, I don't know. I'd say there's the biggest one to me for movie tropes and just stuff nowadays. It's comedy stuff because you don't see it anymore.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fly. And the only people we've talked about it a couple of times. It's like the only people who are taking real risks now are Netflix. With comedy, and you know what, those movies are really doing well.
Exactly.
And they're not like something really raunchy. They're
not way over the top like they used to be. They're calmed down.
They're calmed down,
but they're still in that vein of being raunchy like that, but not as bad. Not as bad, I should say.
Well, here's the funny part about it too. It's like, and then we'll go on to the next topic is, a lot of the comedy movies now, because they used to do this before. What's it called? It's comedians. They've gotten back to using comedians, you know. Now, obviously, there's comedian people that are actors or comedian, but most people that were successful 80s, 90s, early 2000s were real comedians. Like some people that
Sandler, Carey,
all those people, and they're going back to those roots because for a while there's people in comedy movies like that I just didn't find really funny. Like The Rock, and it's in a comedy movie. It's like, okay, you're not really a comedian. It's like, I don't consider Ryan Reynolds a comedian, but he's actually funny.
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah. If he has someone to feed off of, he's great.
Yeah.
I don't love every single him and Kevin Hart movie, but some of the movies that they're in, it's just perfect dichotomy of Beavis and Butthead kind of thing with them.
I'll be honest. I hate Kevin Hart. I hated all his stand-up. I don't like his stand-up and all his shit. But as he's gotten a little older and some of the stuff, I've listened to some of the stuff, I've put down my hate wall as much for him, and I actually kind of enjoy some of his comedy now. Like, he actually is funny.
Do you remember what one of the first movies he was in? You probably won't remember.
I don't. No.
It was such a small part. 40-Year-Old Virgin. He was the guy I was talking about buying the stereo and getting the warranty on the house.
Yeah, in the house. And the guy's like,
this your boy?
Yeah, this your boy? You better come get him.
Yeah. That was Kevin Hart. I was like, holy shit, dude.
You want this guy? You asked for him. You got him now. Whatever,
I'm going to get both of y'all.
I do remember that.
Yeah. Somebody said that the other day. I was like, holy shit, that's
And here's
right.
the other thing. Sometimes I'm closed-minded and stuff about stuff too. And it's like, I didn't like Kevin Hart at first because it was like, insert black funny guy here and he's the new face of black people, whatever. And then it's like, okay, did he actually earn this or whatever? Or is he just somebody else they're inserting?
Somebody to throw in there, yeah.
Right. And then after I listened to him for a while, like his at the beginning, his acting wasn't that great. Right. Comedy, didn't really like his comedy, his stand-up comedy.
Right.
But as he got more mature and doing it more, and like he had The Rock and stuff, for a while I got burnt out. He'd seen The Rock in every fucking movie or TV show. I like The Rock.
Right.
I was like, man, I just don't like this guy. But when he got some other movies in a role, so I'm like, what? He's actually funny. And then when I listened to him on a podcast and listened to him talk, he's actually a really good person.
Yeah.
Like the day, like he's a good person, does really good things. Like he's a good family man, whatever. And it's like, okay, I like this guy a lot more. I was just being stupid, but I was more younger when he first came out. I was like, I didn't really enjoy him. I thought they were just doing it because
he's a loudmouth black man.
Yes, and they, not to be rude or nothing, but it's just like they do that a lot with a lot of people in Hollywood. Insert the next person in here because they meet this quota and whatever they're doing. So
right.
But to each their own. A lot of people find him funny. A lot of people like his stand up. I'm not a big guy in his stand up. I like different humor. He's the really loud guy or whatever, kind of like a Cat Williams or someone else or whatever. Cat Williams is okay too. I've never really found him really funny.
Yeah.
So that's just different strokes for different folks. It's just what it is. So
Right. I did see a funny skit with him, or I don't know if it was a skit or part of a movie, a reel, I guess you could say, with him the other day.
what?
I had to send it to you. It's funny as fuck.
Okay.
It's basically he's in prison, and his girl comes to see him. She's got a 16-year-old kid, and like a white baby in her hand, and he says she's like, "Why don't you say hi to your daddy, kids?" He's like, I don't know about this one. I know this one. He's a 16-year-old. He looks like a 16-year-old man. In fact, he looks like he's 30 or something. But this one is a white child. This is Caucasian from the lands of Caucasus. He's a Viking. He's just going on and on because it's basically a redheaded white pale ass child. And he's like, I know this baby ain't mine. And I know this one for sure is mine because I've served 16 consecutive years. You know what consecutive means? One after another after another. This baby is like 9 months old. This man already has a credit score of 735. I won't tell you more, but it's funny as shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what movie it's from, but I was like, dude, that's fucking great.
All right. So
anyway, go ahead.
No, you're good. Any more movie tropes?
There's a lot, but
Wouldn't Fly Day.
Yeah. Just like I said, a lot of this, the
sexual
stuff.
Even Halloween stuff. There are a lot of horror tropes, and not, like tropes, but maybe they don't fly because they've been done so many times. We could say.
Well,
that
like
too.
I said, we're conditioned to it. We don't look for those things. Like if we're
that's a good way.
Somebody
to put it.
says this blah 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 song has a cuss word in it. Like it does, and then you listen to it and like, oh yeah, it does. But because we are so conditioned of hearing it over and over again, it didn't bother us.
Yeah,
and especially with like, stuff going on along lives and stuff like that. Like wars overseas and stuff like that. We've been through that. It's like it doesn't bother us anymore.
That's true.
But
that is true.
That's what sucks.
You put a good word to it, and South Park makes fun of it too. It's like, and then I hate to use this, but I'm going to use it anyway because it is kind of funny. But I want to say it's not funny, but it's funny because we show that we're conditioned to it, and that's what he does in the show is he shows people getting shot at school.
Oh yeah,
in South Park, right? All the kids are getting shot or whatever, and stuff, or people are getting hurt at school, or whatever, by other kids or teachers or whatever the fuck happens in the news, and like. From at first, everyone's like they're at the dinner table and their like eyes are all wide open, they're all surprised, and by like a year goes by or something, they're like, oh, and our kid's shooting, and like they're sitting there with their heads down eating dinner, like, hey, how was your day? Like
nothing happened.
Like they're conditioned and they don't give a shit. And it's like they're showing what has happened in America, or whatever, and it's made it like a funny kind of like the gag, and it's like, you know what, that's true, like that is funny.
15 and a half years before you can start laugh at something, or whatever that one in South Park was, like. The AIDS one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been 15 years. You can laugh or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, but it's true. Like, we do get conditioned. I forget to use that word for certain things, but you're right. With movies or anything else, we get conditioned with, you're right.
It just doesn't bother us anymore. It's just it's a typical day.
Well,
it's a Tuesday.
Well, with our generation, I think we're not bothered by other kids that
kids nowadays is different, yeah.
They're not conditioned to anything.
Yeah. Like we see stuff like September 11th. We've seen the Berlin Wall go down and stuff like that. And kids nowadays, they see a wall go down, like, oh my God, now it's, I'm making this up, but East Afghanistan is and West have combined, and now it's like, okay,
yeah, let's rip down statues so we can forget about our history. Like, what did dumb people do? It's like I don't like these statues. I mean, the statues are there to remind us of what happened and how to not repeat the past. That's like literally the point with a lot of this stuff.
That's the whole point of life.
And these people are like, let's rip it down because all these people had slaves back then. It's like, well, 100 years ago, everybody had slaves, so it's like. They're not saying any, but this was right. I'm saying that's just part of the history of what was going back then. And to rip down something to forget it and put someone else up there like they're a martyr or saint, it's like everybody has skeletons in their closet. Everybody's got wrongdoing. You can't. There's nobody up there that you can put up on the wall and a statue or anything and say they're perfect people.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's what I hated about like that whole mass of let's rip down every statue in America. And it's like, well, I'm a big history guy, so it's like I found it weird.
Yeah.
And that's something that's weird with this culture nowadays. Like, let's try to condemn the past. Like you said, like let's cancel Cannibal Corpse because they wrote something 20 years ago.
Right.
And it's like this was 20 years ago when this was acceptable and they're blowing up. So obviously people enjoyed it back then.
Exactly.
20 years from now,
they're still selling records and all this other shit.
Right, but at the same time, it's like you can't change the past.
No, you can't.
So why don't you live in the present?
You can't erase it.
You can't erase it. So stay in the present and worry about the present time. Can we do better? Sure,
Yes.
and we can learn from the past. That's why it's there.
Right.
You know, that's my always my big take from that.
Exactly. I totally agree, dude.
Next one, and this is yours, so I'm just going to say it anyway because I have it in front of me, is what's your opinion on athletes and WWE superstars in movies? And do you have a favorite movie of them being in there? And I'll go first so you can think about it because I was thinking about it while we're sitting here. What do I think? I think if I had to lay it out on a platform and look at all the stuff that's going on nowadays, the big one for me would be there was a time in Hollywood where they were running out of good original ideas, and their original idea was insert musician or insert some type of person from pop culture into a movie, and we'll see if it sticks and to sell tickets. So, like, we'll put Beavis and Butthead in a movie, or we'll put in no, that was a bad one. We'll put in Jay-Z in a movie or something like that, and we'll just sell because Jay-Z's in the movie, and we'll advertise that in markets, whatever, which is a great idea or whatever. And that, and sometimes it worked, like Justin Timberlake or whoever else, because he ended up being like an okay actor. But it's like not everybody who could sing could act. But in Hollywood, they thought that when people started coming up with the concept, but let's put Hulk Hogan and people in movies or whatever. At first, it wasn't a great. They sucked at it, but as time went on, they react live on TV.
Right.
So the transition to movies, that takes some work. I mean, look at The Rock, and a lot of people are in there nowadays.
Yeah.
It works. Does it work for everybody? No, not all of them. But I think there's a select few that's worked out, like Batista. I like him in some of the movies and some of the Marvel stuff. Do I like him outside the movies or whatever? No, I think he's a douche.
Yeah.
Do I like The Rock in a lot of movies? Sure, I like The Rock, and I think he's a good actor. John Cena, I think, is a good actor.
He's funny as fuck.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan, great actor. Well, okay actor, we'll say. For the time when he acted and did stuff, the movies back then he wasn't really up to par. But
I don't think it was always all his fault. It's the movie
sure.
itself.
But when he was in Rocky, he did Rocky fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
He played a guy that was in the ring and the
Thunder Lips.
Huh?
It's Thunder Lips.
Thunder Lips.
Yeah. It was wrestler versus boxer.
Yeah, he played that to a T because that's his role already.
Look at No Holds Barred when it actually was about wrestling.
Yeah,
they made that look real. But see,
a lot of those guys get typecasted into the big like macho guys in those roles or whatever.
But then you get Batista who could play a gay man like he did in, I forget what movie it was, but he also played something like the Knock at the Cabin, where he's like a cult leader kind of thing. Or then you have Stuber, which I thought was funny as hell. I love that movie. But then you have Drax. He has so many different roles. He's not typecasted in anything.
No.
Like John Cena, the same way. He's got all these funny roles. He's not played a wrestler, big beef motherfucker, or anything like that, except for Peacemaker.
Yeah.
But he still got to use his humor and the toilet humor that it entailed already.
Yes.
But like The Rock, he's got some range going to him because he was always very entertaining anyway.
Yep.
But then, like, going back to Hogan, the wrestling movie was great, but then how they quote unquote continued the story was Zeus was upset that he lost in the movie.
Yeah.
So he feuded with Hogan in actual WWF.
Yep.
Which was stupid as fuck because you're going to lose in the movie and this and that. But that movie was great. Servant Commando, The Nanny,
yeah, terrible.
It's just
it depends, right?
Yeah, it depends on the movie, not the wrestler.
I didn't know this, but and I don't want to ruin this for anybody. But if you haven't watched the Vince McMahon documentary, because I know you probably haven't watched it.
Not yet.
But this is something that's already public knowledge, so it's not extended. Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan made a movie together.
Yeah.
I never knew that, and they show like parts of the movie in there, and it's so fucking atrocious. And they thought it was going to be good because they wanted to get kind of into the movie thing to try to hype up the wrestling thing, which was a great idea by Vince McMahon.
Right.
But at the same time, the way they executed it, it's like, they didn't do a good job.
Right.
And they knew that, but it was still funny. Like people have still like the original movie they made or whatever.
Wow.
I didn't know that, but
yeah.
He was the first one that's like, let's get wrestlers in the movies because Hulk Hogan got asked. He's like, I'm gonna lose Hogan to Hollywood.
Right.
Because he thought he was going to go and just not come back because he didn't have all the money Hollywood had back then to pay these guys. So he tried to delay as long as possible. And by delaying it, he's like, I'll put you in your own movie and do stuff. He's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. That's why if you see any wrestler in any movie before a certain time, whatever, it always says executive producer Vince McMahon or WWE, WWF, whatever, Productions.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool, but...
Who's your favorite?
Favorite?
Wrestler in a movie.
Wrestler in a movie?
Well, actually, what wrestler and what movie?
Man, that's a hard
I
one.
know. There's just
There's so many movies with people in it.
yeah.
Man, you go first on that one because let me think for a
right.
second.
I loved Roddy Piper in They Live.
Okay.
I love that movie, not just because it's John Carpenter, not just because it's a horror-ish movie.
Mhm.
It's just Piper and Keith David, the way they were going back and forth, is just hilarious. You know, especially the fight in the middle is basically the same thing as the cripple fight from South Park.
Sure.
And just the way him and John kind of collaborated together.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of his most famous lines is, "I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm all out of bubblegum."
That-
That was supposed to have been his actual phrase in WWF
Mhm.
that Vince
Took out.
didn't like it.
Yeah.
He said it was too corny.
It's funny that's a line that's stuck with people. It's a one-liner.
It's still a great one-liner.
Yeah.
You know, people still use a variation of
Yeah.
it even sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think that's
Well,
got to be one.
Like in Dazed and Confused, he's like, I'm here to do two things: drink beer and kick some ass.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm almost out of beer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Same thing.
See, yeah. So Roddy Piper and They Live is my wrestler in movie.
Okay. If I had to say anyone, just because, and it's stupid to say,
It's
but
you, dude. It's you. Who
it's
cares?
whatever. I mean, I really like the Hulk Hogan one with in Rocky. You know, I'm not the hugest Rocky fan, but I like Hulk Hogan back a lot back then.
Was that part 3 or 2?
I think it was 2.
Okay.
No, it was 3 because it didn't.
He was against Mr. T.
Yes,
That was 3.
that was 3.
Okay.
And Mr. T was a wrestler for a little while too. I don't know if you know
Well,
that.
he didn't really. Yeah, he kind of wrestled.
It was got the guest appearance type
Yeah,
thing that started in that
He was at
wrestling.
WrestleMania with Hogan.
Yeah, that's
against,
right.
Orton and Roddy Piper.
Yep.
it Orndorff?
I have to say it's The Rock because he's been in so much shit, nowadays, and he actually fits the roles. I like him in one of the Fast and Furiouses, but I also like
I
him.
love that line with Ludacris still.
Yeah, with his big ass forehead.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. It's Tyrese.
Yeah, Tyrese. That's right.
Yeah.
That,
He said
that was improv.
Yeah, not
improvised.
scripted.
Yeah, not scripted.
That's why he spit the water out and laughed.
Exactly.
And then also, so that I like that movie with The Rock in it. I'd probably say it's Fast and Furious, but I thought he did good in Scorpion King with.
Yeah, that was pretty good. The Mummy 2 or whatever it was.
Yeah, whatever it was. I actually liked it. I liked the Mummies growing up. Like the Mummy
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. I think with the 3 was like the Mummy or the Scorpion King. After that, I didn't like him any. After that, like any of the movies.
1, 2, the Scorpion King was a movie on its own.
Yeah,
Yeah, because 3 was like some kind of like Chinese emperor or some shit like that.
yeah. Whatever it was. I think
didn't like that one.
I'd probably have to say it's one of those two, but it's The Rock by
Yeah.
far.
Okay.
Just because he's been in the most and now some of the other stuff he's done, like the little kitty movies and some other stuff.
That's a given. He's going to do those.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people do movies just for their kids and stuff like that,
Mhm.
or they just want a different what you call it, fridge.
Yeah, it's a compressor.
Sorry.
No, it's good.
Uh,
They kick on like that and kick off.
yeah.
Yeah.
People do kids movies just because they can get a different demographic to follow them and stuff like that. Here's something a little tidbit. I don't know if you know. Do you know why Hulk Hogan changed his name from Hulk Hogan to Hollywood Hogan in WCW?
I think I remember hearing this, but you can go ahead and tell me because I can't remember exactly. Because they didn't obviously his name was Terry.
Yeah, his real name was Terry Bollea.
Yeah.
But they changed it because every time any kind of promotional thing or anything that they sold that had the word Hulk in it,
Mm-hmm.
they had to pay Marvel $100 each time.
Oh,
All the videotapes they sold, all the T-shirts or anything that Hulk Hogan on it, anything with that, they had to pay Marvel a percentage of those. So in order to get around that, he changed his name to Hollywood Hogan.
okay.
That way they wouldn't have to owe Marvel any money or anything like that. Then after a while, he bought his contract out where he could use Hulk again
Yeah.
because he bought it from Marvel because Marvel's making money now. Back then, in the 80s and stuff, they weren't making hardly shit, just comic books.
I'll tell you this. Out of all the people that have intro music, I fucking loved Hulk in the 90s.
I hated his song.
You didn't? I'm a real American hero. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's I'm a real American. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
I thought
Rick,
it was
Rick
all-
Derringer. I didn't like it.
I liked it because it fit his character. When he was like, when he
Yeah.
played the baby face,
Yeah,
he wasn't a heel yet or whatever.
yeah.
When he played the baby face, and he came out as a American with American Pride. American Pride was huge in the 90s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So when
Of
he came
course.
out to that, I always thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like it would get him all hyped up and people would go crazy or whatever.
Right.
Now he doesn't use that song anymore.
No, he uses Voodoo Chile.
Yeah, but the time when he did use that song, dude, like that was like the peak hype. I don't know. I think it brings me back to a good time in the '90s watching wrestling.
That makes sense.
So when like you heard that song coming on, it's like, who the fuck is this? And you come out and you just be insane, and
Yeah.
the brothers and pointing at everybody and everything. that was just just peak Hogan. And when you watching the documentary, it gave me some chills watching. Like it was just because the way they portray it and like how big he really was.
Right.
People don't realize like how big Hogan was. Hogan, he promoted WWE, but when he went to WCW,
he was WWE.
Yeah, well, he was, and then went to WCW. He fucking saved WCW,
Yeah.
and then doing his idea of going to being the heel, and what's
he saved it even more.
Yeah, and McMahon didn't want him to be the heel, whatever, and he saw what he did and what that the era of what was it called?
NWO.
Not NWO, but like what they call that era. Attitude
era.
Attitude era, whatever.
Monday Night Wars.
Yeah. With Eric Bischoff, whatever, when he came up with that idea, like, what a fucking great idea. Like, to turn him from the good guy to the bad villain, because what gets people entertained and involved? Emotions, and so many people are emotion. That night, like they showed on the documentary, people were throwing food and soda, and Hulk's just playing his character, doing his ear names and everything else.
Like it's not even happening.
Right? And then within the next, like, 2 weeks or whatever, he's got the NWO shirt on with, Razor Ramon and, who's our guy? Diesel.
Yeah. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
Yeah, and they came out, and fucking people were going insane for him. They loved him. And it's
people were jumping the guardrail. I've seen that try to attack him.
Yeah.
Because they were so pissed off.
Well, at first they're pissed off, but after they did it, down the road,
people just loved him.
Yeah, they loved him.
And that's what I admit, I had an NWO shirt for a while.
Yeah, I did too.
And I had the Sting mask, the black and white one.
Yeah. It's funny. I when I walked around the mall not too long ago, I saw a guy with an NWO shirt, and I gave him a nod because I was like, "Yeah, you
should have did it too sweet."
Yeah. It was funny that last night, and I'm moving on the next topic. I'm sitting there scrolling through reels because that's what you do at night when you're bored, and a video came up with X-Pac on it, the X-Pac song, and I fucking sent it to my sister, and she started laughing because she used to watch wrestling with me. Yeah. She loved wrestling. Right. We would watch WWF at the time when it was on there, and Monday Night War, Raw, whatever the fuck it was called.
Raw. It's still on.
I know it is, and she liked X-Pac and all those guys, and she liked all the shit they did. She laughed, DMX or DX, DX, whatever, and those were good days. Anyway.
Let me throw this in.
Go ahead.
Since you talked about Hogan, every time you hear a song, you get chills.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing about wrestling that really always give me goosebumps and chills.
Mm-hmm.
Not only because I've seen him live, it's just the presence of it. If you hear the Undertaker's the bell, just the one bell, he's coming or something about him's on. It's like, oh fuck yeah, dude!
All that shit used to get you hyped up. The songs,
I mean, it still does. What I hear just watching reels or whatever.
Dude, I can remember when hearing Stone Cold glass gets fucking smashed and everybody would just go insane. Those are things that you hear. You watch WWF now, or WWE. Sorry, now. It's not the same.
It's not.
That music is changed. They had their own crazy intro music back in the day, and like it's cool. Like I'll just say it one more time. If you watch that documentary, like they talk about how they got Stone Cold and where he came from. That ECW or whatever.
Yeah,
they
I remember.
Got him from. And
I know all that stuff. Yeah,
I know you do.
Yeah.
It's like I'm giving you a history lesson on it. You're giving me a history lesson on it.
Make me feel old.
Yeah. But like watching that and like watching how they came up with like the music and like like even Stone Cold, like his saying, and that's the bottom line. He just improvised and came up with that. And then Vince McMahon's like, that's your new saying. Like
the 316 he made up like right there on the spot.
Yeah, he did. He thought
right there live too.
He thought about it from something from the Bible. He said the John 3:16. He
beat Jake the Snake in the finals of the King of the Ring, and Jake was very reborn Christian, and he was very preachy to the guys in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
So as Jake was walking back to the backstage area, Stone Cold was doing that interview when he said, "You have your Bibles, this, you have that." Then John's 3:16. Well, I got one for you. Stone Cold says, or whatever. Austin 3:16 says, "I whooped your ass."
Yeah.
It was a jab at Jake Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
Because he beat him.
I thought that was cool.
And that just blew the fuck up.
Yeah.
I forgot how much money he made just the rest of that year on that one T-shirt.
They said they couldn't keep merchandise in
exactly.
for Stone Cold.
Exactly.
Because obviously, goddamn, we're going on this fucking rabbit
hole.
Sorry. Like they were trying to replace Hogan.
Yeah.
And obviously,
they tried so many different people.
He did for a while
until he started being pussified.
Yep, and I think he was getting pissed. He had an attitude problem. Everyone said he was a big.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what Warrior was supposed to be. Since Warrior beat Hogan at WrestleMania 6, he was supposed to be the next Hogan, But
they talk about the handoffs and how they
did
do it.
his shit, and then had his little.
Well, Ultimate Warrior couldn't handle his hype,
because everyone wanted Hogan's money, and Hogan was always in control of where his character went. It's called creative control.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever Hogan wanted, motherfucker got it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what everybody else wanted. They wanted his money. They wanted his
Fame.
limousine, fame, and everything else. But no, Vince couldn't give it to anybody because Hogan brought it up from the ground up.
Yeah.
He did it himself.
Well, you had to find that person that could do it live and
Right.
bring that character out and do that stuff.
Exactly.
And then he tried with
Bret Hart. He tried with Bret Hart.
and-
He tried with Shawn Michaels.
and Bret Hart left.
Yeah.
WCW,
Well,
which
he's fucked him over.
yeah, he fucked
We
him over.
we
big
won't
time.
talk about that one.
Yeah.
That's a long story.
Well, that talks about in the documentary too. Anyway,
Yeah.
just watch the documentary.
Yeah.
You guys will learn about all that stuff if you're into wrestling.
Really cool stuff.
So next topic.
That should be one of our topics for next.
A wrestling
podcast.
one?
Yeah,
I
totally wrestling one.
I could do wrestling for sure.
Okay.
That's actually a really good idea.
Okay.
We're gonna put that on the list.
Pen-
This one's just kind of one we can probably do this every podcast. I think this is kind of funny. Flavor of the month, crap like memes, slang words, and phrases.
I've heard Riz lately.
Riz.
Yeah,
that's,
Riz. I know it's a few months old now, probably.
That's more than a few months, but that's like over a year or two
Okay,
old.
then I'm
You're getting old.
No, yeah, I'm not. My fingers.
I had to
on the
look
pulse.
this up because I've said it a couple times to people or whatever. And it's just funny because you don't hear older guys or other people talking about it. But Riz is just charisma.
Yeah.
You know, that's all it is. They just shorten the word because that's what these kids do nowadays. And it's just a pop culture word. And it's like that guy's got Riz. Like his game's really good.
He looks
you know?
good. Yeah.
You know, our charisma was saying he had game, right? In the 90s
Right.
and early 2000s. It's like that guy's got game. He knows how to talk to women. He can pull women. Same
Right.
thing with,
Right.
women don't have to have game.
Right.
They just have to have tits and ass. And that's what it comes down to, right? So it's just what it is. And they change up the Riz. I think it's funny when you hear that. They're like, their guys will say it, and especially if they say it in a certain slang term or word that when they say it, then put it together. Now, sometimes it sounds cringe. Some of the people are doing it because it's been overused on reels and everything else. But like they'll call like these guys, they'll start making different names. Like that guy's the Rizzler, just stupid shit like that is
Right.
funny. We got any other ones?
No, I honestly do not. Trend wise, yeah. I've seen people doing. What the fuck was that? Basically, you go ahead. I think about it some more.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything new. You kind of figure out these flavor of the month things by watching the reels and the TikToks and all that stuff. I don't watch TikTok, so I don't have time to say that, but I'm not a TikTok because I would get sucked into it. I already know I would.
Yeah.
But they're all on the same thing. If someone posts on TikTok, they post on Instagram, which goes to Facebook and everything else. All the reels and all the stuff are all repeated. But TikTok's got more because that's where a lot more money is, and that's where people are creative TikTok influencers and everything else. But I would say flavor of the month this month is, I don't know. There's just so many out there now. I can't keep up with them all of them, Tim. So I didn't really think about this topic since it was your topic as much. Is there any new memes out there? I mean, there's the McDonald's one right now with Trump is pretty funny.
What's that one? I haven't seen that one.
You didn't
yet.
know?
No.
So he worked at McDonald's. He went to The joke is Kamala. Oh, goddamn, we're talking about politics. Kamala talked about.
Only thing that nothing else after this.
Yeah.
Politics.
Kamala talked about her working at McDonald's as a kid, and people have said she lied because there's no record of her working there. So Trump, doing the president thing, is going around touring around. So he went to a more low-income area or whatever, and went to McDonald's, and he said he loves McDonald's. It's one of his favorite places because guess what? People grew up in McDonald's when a long time ago was a great fast food restaurant. It was a family restaurant.
Right.
So he went there, and he said he worked the fryer, and he went around and show how they worked for the day, and he served customers food and everything.
Is that undercover boss?
Yeah. So undercover boss, great. So anyway, it was staged like anything
Right.
because the guys almost got murdered twice, and who's going to actually go to McDonald's? The president can't walk to McDonald's. Who knows what fucking crazy loons are in there or anywhere? I mean, I wouldn't expect anybody that's in politics right now to be able to walk anywhere freely. So anyway, that's what he was doing, and so they've made memes out of it because people have been going insane over it, and they're like showing pictures of him like working the fryer and people crying and everything else and stuff, and they took out the Mick and McDonald's and covered up with red, and now it says Donald's on it or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, just a bunch of stupid memes. So that
Right.
that's a big meme going right now with the Trump shits or whatever, and
Right.
just to trigger people or just to get a good laugh.
Well, yeah,
you know?
it's election time, so people are going to be they're going to see a lot more memes, those kinds of memes, in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, it's 20 days till.
Is it 20? God damn.
20 days to
That's right.
election, so get out
Fuck.
there and vote, people.
Hey, no political, No more election shit. Anyway,
Go out there and vote.
I couldn't think of what else, the one I was thinking of, the trend wise. But basically, since this Halloween time, people were getting in Halloween spirit a lot earlier, which I was very happy about seeing stuff in August. And but of course, they put out the Christmas shit too, which is fine. They always do it anyway. But at least this year, not compared to the last, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe even 7 years, people have put Christmas ahead of Halloween every single time. Now they brought like Halloween's back, and I think that's great. It's a great for me, of course. It's a great thing. Gives me more decor to put in my house.
I saw one of my buddies put out the Govee lights. Now they've come out with.
Govee lights.
You know what Govee is? They're just RGB lights you can put in like your room and everything else or whatever to like, light up different colors. You know, it's popular.
Yeah.
It's a trend.
Like LEDs with their Govees.
Yeah,
right?
that's the brand name.
Okay.
They're the best ones out there.
Okay.
Now, Govee being smart, they made them for your house.
Okay.
Because they've seen other lighting companies come out and do it, and they said, you know, if they can do it, we can do it too.
Right.
For external lighting, and people put them on their house to change their colors all year. My friend was out farther in Moscow Mills in the country, and he had like a lift up there this week, and he was like, I put up the Govee lights, and they look fucking great. And then, I'm sure they're not cheap. It's an investment to put in your house or whatever. I'm thinking about doing it, to be honest with you. Yeah. And then he said, now I don't have to worry about doing Christmas lights or Halloween lights.
That's what I told you.
I know. We talked about it last year. Yeah. I'm really thinking about doing it.
There's one thing I saw really badass. It was a Halloween display this guy had. Basically, you walk up to the house and there's like a ghoul. If it's a ghoul or a zombie or something. Basically, there's a zombie on the ground like with his mouth wide open, like more than usual. And then on the roof is Beetlejuice with a barrel overflowing with red liquid, obviously blood. So basically, it's like a fountain. Beetlejuice is feeding the zombie or whatever blood while it's draining around him and stuff like that. But then if you look in the yard, they have a fog, the mist, whatever. But it's like so low to the ground, and he put fiber optic lights into the grass, basically. So the grass illuminated like it's like a toxic waste.
I saw that.
It was cool. I'm like, holy shit,
I saw some guy, he did that, and he did like a light show, and he put like some smoke. It looked like there's smoke going through the grass and everything like that. Yeah. Sorry. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so I'm used to it. Everyone on podcast is used to you smacking your leg.
Well, I haven't bumped the mic yet.
That's true.
Not yet. But yeah, one trend is Halloween stuff came out early this year, which I thought was great.
Halloween stuff is coming out earlier. Christmas stuff isn't out yet. I haven't seen any of it yet.
It is not here.
It will. So in the next 2 weeks, it'll be out.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Next week the day after Halloween, it'll all be out.
Yeah.
You know, and which is sad. And I'll probably be my roof here before put my lights up before it gets bad. Because
do it now, dude. Shit.
I do it.
It's 80 degrees outside.
Well, that's when you're supposed to do it.
Right.
Lesson learned if you're a new dad listening to this. Put your lights up 2 months early, not a month before when you're freezing on the fucking roof.
Fuck what the neighbors say. If you put them up on Easter, put them up on Easter.
Yeah. So, since we're talking about Halloween, and this is our Halloween Plus podcast, we are going to go into our Halloween topics. And I got a little transition here.
I didn't even plan that. I just came out.
I know it did. I'm gonna start it off with an obvious one because I'm sure people like hearing this kind of stuff. Is what are the popular costumes for 2024?
You know, I assumed it was going to be certain ones, because I Googled it first, and I was right, but then I was also wrong.
Okay.
What I was right about was the obvious, Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the bigger ones now.
Mm-hmm.
But for kids, it's Tay-Tay and Alvin and the Chipmunks.
So I saw that too. I wrote down someone. So they said the most popular one this year is probably going to be Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And that's an obvious one, right?
Right.
For adults and kids.
I was also say Terrifier, which one I was wrong about because not everybody's seen that.
Well, Terrifier is popular in the Halloween community. Right. It's the most popular thing right now. He's like the Michael Myers of this era of kids right now.
Michael Myers.
Yep. This is a given, but this is a really popular one for adults and kids. Is Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about that.
Yep. Deadpool and Wolverine's going to be a huge one this year. Which I mean,
they're cool if you and Lincoln and Lila dress up like Deadpool and Wolverine.
I try to get Lincoln. He wants to be Ghostface again.
I get it.
She wants to be Elsa, so I can't. Whatever. Now this is a weird one, but this is actually funny. Going political again, so don't give a shit. People are being ALF, and do you know why?
Illegal aliens?
No, because ALF could like to eat animals, and there's that whole thing about the immigrants eating
He
animals.
he eats cats.
Cats.
That's what it was.
Yeah, so they're like people are being ALF. I thought that was cool.
That is very cool. I like that.
That's a really good one.
That's funny as hell.
Popular with women older and younger because it's pop culture. I don't know who this person is, but I had to look her up. Was Sabrina Carpenter. She's a very popular singer.
Name sounds familiar, but
Yeah, she's pretty good looking.
but
I don't know. I
and
think
kids?
she's popular with girls and older girls as well. It's mostly girls, you know. And guys find her hot, so they probably go with their girlfriends and go watch. This is a given. You just said a little bit, but it's gonna be Travis and Taylor for adults going together. There's always a couple people dressed up
there's
as,
always
right?
a couple, yeah.
You know, it's just always one of those things. This one's funny, but it's stupid because I'm so sick of fucking hearing about this person. Is the Hawk Tuah girl? It's gonna be a good one.
Come on, man. That was so like 2 months ago.
Not even 2 months ago. It was like 3 months ago.
Well, she's popular because she has a podcast. She's like got the number 2 podcast out there now.
You know what? I don't think she's.
And I love the name though. It's funny as hell.
I don't think she's a bad person. I mean, obviously she was drunk in that video, whatever she was doing, and you got a Hawk Tuah in that thing,
Yeah,
whatever.
Spit on that thing.
And you've heard it so many times. It's getting old. It got
It's
old
burnt
real
out.
quick. Her
Old and
15
burnt out.
Her 15 minutes are up.
Yeah.
But she's holding on to as long, you know, and more props to her. Like she's getting paid to go make appearances at like, clubs and like.
Well, like I said, her podcast is number 2, and she's had like, not Gerald Ford, but she's had like an ex-presidents on there and shit like that on that shit.
But the one thing that people like about her is that she's religious and she's good looking.
And she's real.
And she's real, and she's not. And people are upset because they want to see her do OnlyFans. Everyone thought she was going to capitalize on OnlyFans. If she would have won OnlyFans, she probably made millions of dollars real quick.
Probably.
Which,
Yeah.
if I was a girl, I would have done it if I was in her position. But she's got morals and values and said, I'm not doing that. And she's still making the money. So whatever. She's still getting
Yeah.
paid. If she wasn't getting paid, she would go do it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. She would do it.
Exactly.
So I thought that was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny.
That people are dressing up her. Mostly women, obviously. But you could probably see men doing it, too.
It would be funny if the girl dressed up as the girl as the Hawk Tuah girl, and then the boy was or the guy was like the spit or the thing, the shirt that says the thing.
Yeah, the thing. That's actually good. This one's funny. Ozempic.
What?
People are dressing up like Ozempic because it's such a big thing this year.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
I thought that was funny.
Uh,
Joker because
Yeah,
of the
of course.
movie.
Joker and Harley, yeah. I've seen
Yeah,
that
and
too.
Harley Quinn and all that stuff.
Seen that.
This is the easy one because this is every year the president, so people are gonna dress up like Trump and Biden,
Yeah.
you know, or whoever. That's a give me.
Yeah.
I thought this was cool. Lady Deadpool, people are dressed up as
Really?
like Ryan Reynolds, like to be him
Okay.
and his girlfriend or whatever.
Okay.
I thought that
As
was
his
cool.
wife.
Well, I mean, you know, but his
Yeah,
wife, but you
yeah.
know, and Lady Deadpool movie, whatever.
Yeah. That's cool.
For kids, the most popular ones, and this is a gimme because I'm a kid. I have kids. I'm sorry.
Like, wait a minute.
I'm also a kid. Minecraft and Fortnite are like the biggest.
Still?
Huge. Just they're so big.
Jesus Christ, man. Minecraft is also like, 2019, 2018, and if that even.
Even older. Minecraft's been around forever.
I know it's been around. I'm just saying the popularity of it.
It's still popular.
Jesus
Even
Christ.
Roblox is up there too, but Minecraft and Fortnite beat every fucking game. Minecraft's still the #1 game that kids like to play,
Jesus.
and it's a good game for kids.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But they love it. I mean,
Yeah.
they love that stuff. I mean, Lincoln's got those creepers that look like they look
yeah,
like
the
dick and
zombies or
balls.
whatever. Yeah. The big dicks, yeah.
Yeah, so they look like. This one's a good one. You remember the Olympics?
Yeah.
Remember
The stupid dancing
yeah,
girl, whatever.
the ray gun dancer.
Yeah, thank you.
Ray gun.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a popular one. People dressed up and like act like they can dance at like parties and shit.
I actually see. Okay, you've seen those windshield wiper thingies
Mm-hmm.
that for like Michael Myers stabbies stuff like that. There's actually one of that girl where her legs are going back and forth like on the wiper.
So
I was
stupid.
like, come on.
This is the best one so far.
Uh-oh.
I laughed my ass off. Like, you know it's gonna happen. Who do you think people are gonna dress up this year? That's been in the spotlight for the last couple months.
last couple months spotlight. You can throw me a little clue.
He's a rapper.
I don't know rappers. Sorry.
Diddy. Diddy did it. You know, because all the stuff he's been going on and stuff that they're
I
coming out
actually
with.
seen that's right because I did see a shirt. Somebody wearing a shirt that said has Diddy on it, and then their date, whatever, was a bottle of baby oil.
Yeah. The South Park. I swear to God, I can go back to South Park and reference them.
Because they're so fucking
relevant
in everything, you know.
Yeah, well, the episode Diddy did it or whatever,
Yeah.
or whatever it was, or whatever. No, Diddy actually did do it. This is a gimme too. If you're a good looking hot woman, you're gonna dress like a skimpy, girl that could walk around like a sleut. Sydney Sweeney, and she's so hot. Sydney Sweeney?
No, I don't know.
What?
I don't know. Sydney
Look her up on your phone right now. She's probably the most. She's the
don't know
number one.
name.
She's the number one like fantasized girl. She's the new Megan Fox or whoever else and stuff.
I think I know.
She's got the big boobs, and she's been on like Saturday Night Live as a person, and she's been in a bunch of movies, and she did some naked scenes and that HBO show, whatever it was. I can't remember that all the girls and guys were gossiping about, whatever. And she is really good looking.
Oh, that chick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the new. People are like, oh, she's not that popular, and it's like she's the most popular woman in the world right now. She's like the new Margot Robbie and everybody else. Euphoria, that's what it was. So she'll be popular this year, they said, for a lot of older
She was
girls.
also in Handmaid's Tale, too.
Mm-hmm. Here's the next one. I didn't know this, but apparently there's some pop culture thing going on right now with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. So apparently that's coming back around. It's the girls.
Again?
There's something. I guess I don't know if it's with their TV show or what's going on or on Netflix, but
Yeah, there's some kind of behind the scenes kind of thing with them.
either way, I mean, it's just their tryouts and all their stuff.
Right.
I forget what it was, but it was something to do with that. Now, I didn't know this one. I don't know who these people are, but there's one called the Power Pop Girls. And there's like these 3 girls that are they call themselves the Power Pop Girls.
Gee, can you rip off Powder
And they're
Puff
kind of like,
Girls?
the Power Puff Girl, or, Powder Puff Girls. One of the girls' name is like Chappelle Roan. She's apparently a huge, like, new girl that's coming up out of the 3 girls, whatever. The people are all dressing up like now. Don't know who she is. I'm just telling you what people are saying in pop culture, that she's going to be a huge costume this year. I'm not a young kid, so I don't really listen to that music or don't know.
Right.
And then from a Disney movie that actually was successful this year, Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
Apparently people are going to be dressing up like Inside Out 2. There's a lot of characters in there.
Okay.
I haven't watched it yet, so I don't really know anything about it. So
if you told me anybody, but
so those are all the costumes of 2024 that are up. Now, obviously, you're always going to have the traditional ones, people dressing up like nurses and vampires and skeletons and everything else. I don't think that's ever going to go away. Devils or Jason and Michael and all the people that we know forever. There'll always be some creative ones that people do. Like, did you see the guy that had the Venom one? He
with his arm. Yeah, that was cool as fuck.
That was really cool.
Have you seen the? I think I can't remember. Is it Stone Frozen? Frozen Cold or something like that. It's a mix up between Stone Cold and Elsa. It's a girl, basically a bald girl. She has a skull cap on, but it's a bald girl with a mustache, with blonde hair, like a mullet, backwards mullet or whatever. And she's got a Stone Cold vest on with Elsa dress. So basically, Frozen Cold or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's different. And of course, you still got the ones with the people doing the meme with the guy and the girl turning around. You know, the girl's disgusted because he's looking at the hot girl or whatever. I've seen those still. Like I said, when I Googled it, it said Alvin and Chipmunks. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is Alvin and Chipmunks such a big thing?
Yeah.
It's a family thing because, you have the father or whatever and then the 3 kids. So that makes sense. But it's just like, dude, that is so 70s, 60s, 80s kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and and that's the weird thing about the pop culture thing. It's like you always see the pop culture ones going on that are really cool to see everybody dress up like and stuff. But I always like it's the people that are more creative, that do things that people don't do.
Right.
Those are always the ones that stand out to everybody.
Exactly. People just throw shit together. They look like the kid from Big Daddy.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like people, like someone took like a old like car, I don't know what to call it, like a push car or something like that, and like used boxes and turned it into
the Transformer.
To transform, not as a transform, they turned it into a FedEx thing, or Amazon car, and they could push their kid in it while they went around and trick or treat, and he dressed up like a FedEx guy. I'm like, that was fucking cool.
Yeah,
he didn't have to do anything. He said all he had to do was spend like a week doing this and color it and paint it and everything, and it looked like a replica of it.
Right.
Those things are cool. I like when people think outside the box and do that. And now, not everybody's crafty, not everybody's handy. It's the same thing with the Halloween pumpkin. Like, I forgot to look this up, but I wanted to, but I was going to be one of the topics. It's like, what are the trends for Halloween pumpkins for carving? I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that's trending. The only thing I do know is a lot of people with kids now use stickers. And we talked about last year that people are painting. Painting's been around for a while, but the stickers is a huge one now. They don't even paint them. They just give these kids these nice stickers they can put on there and like put whatever character or whatever face they want on there.
Right.
Which it looks good. It looks good, and they say because the pumpkin lasts that much longer. So. Yeah. Whatever you're into. I haven't done it yet. We were supposed to do our pumpkins already, but I think we're going to do them this weekend probably, on either Saturday or Sunday.
I did see a funny couples pumpkin contest kind of thing. basically it's a husband and wife, and they say, okay, pumpkin carving contest. First one done wins.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's like trying to carve hers out, you know, and he's like he's way ahead of her, and then he says done, and she's like, huh, how did you get done already? So she puts hers on, puts it after she gets done, she puts hers on. I'm sorry, puts hers on him,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got like, you know, the normal triangle eyes, goofy smile, stuff like that. But he puts his on her, and all it is just a hole right by her mouth. Get it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Got it. That's good.
I'll send you that too if we can find it. I've been watching all these reels and just not saving them because they're like repetitive, and I know your algorithm's very similar to mine.
I'm sure. And once you like something on there,
Oh,
it's just
God, it just
it's just
doesn't
the
go
way it
away.
goes.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else? Any other popper costumes? You didn't look anything
No, I
up?
can think of. As I said, just the ones that I mentioned.
Okay. So this is one of my topics I didn't put down with you, but
Oh,
what are the must-haves this year for Halloween 2024?
must-haves like props.
Like just like props you put in your yard or your house or anything like that.
I've seen a lot of people doing the skeleton that barfs into the barrel,
Mm-hmm.
like with the green.
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen more variety in candy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have chocolate, then you got to have stuff with no nuts. You got to have lollipops. You got to have stuff sugar free if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Which
It's wild
actually
it's changed
we
so
actually
much.
did that. Yeah. I'm not sure what else. What else we got?
So this is what I had. So the must-haves from last year, I put this on here first because I didn't know, but I looked it up. The Crackle Barrel Ghost was really popular. There's you know all the knickknacks at
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel. There's this ghost that was there apparently, and apparently it's there this year too. That was really big with people in the Halloween community. And I knew this because I looked up on Reddit, and people were like it's sold out all last year, and apparently it's in there now. And I don't know, it's like $50, $60. I don't know what the hell that is for. I think it's just a prop inside your house. You have to look it up. I think they do it now with like Christmas ones too. But we went there actually Cracker Barrel a week and a half ago for lunch. No, for lunch or brunch, and dude, they really have some really nice shit there. But it's so overpriced. But every time we go in there, they have it down good where you're sitting there waiting for your seat and get to look around and buy shit, and then women get sucked into buying like the knick-knack nice stuff for their house and decorations. But that was a big one from last year. The biggest one from last year was the Home Depot 10-foot skeleton. Obviously, that was a huge one.
12-foot.
No, they said 10-foot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
10-foot.
The
Oh,
10-footer was because I guess probably the price
That's
point.
what I got.
And then the puking skeleton was big last
the one I
year.
was talking about,
Yeah,
yeah.
the one in the toxic barrel and
Yeah.
puking the green waste or whatever. So
I-
that was huge from last year.
I have a 10-foot skeleton.
I know you do.
It's outside.
I know.
Well, kind of outside.
So this year, there's
This
a bunch. There's a bunch this year.
Okay.
There's a Costco skeleton. I haven't seen it yet, but apparently it's really big. That's a big
Okay.
one. Obviously the same one as last year, the Home Depot
Oh,
skeleton.
I know one. If it might be the Costco one where it's coming out of the roof or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the Costco one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those
are cool 'cause
It's
you
either
put
that
them on
one
the
or it's either that one or the ground. It's coming
Yeah,
out.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just I've seen people do both.
The Jack Stalker.
Jack Stalker.
Yeah, it's like a I can't remember what it is.
Like
They call it
Stalker with a jack-o'-lantern head.
maybe. Yeah, I think it's it's one with the pumpkin. Maybe
Okay.
they call it the Jack Stalker. It's like a giant one with the pumpkin on it, like a
Oh,
12-footer.
like Sleepy Hollow kind of thing.
Maybe. Or maybe I got those mixed up. They call it the Jack Stalker.
Okay.
That's what I look up. The 12-foot Inferno pumpkin skeleton. That's the one I was talking about. There's a 12-foot pumpkin, and he looks like kind of like a Sleepy Hollow type thing or something like that. It looks pretty crazy. The 13-foot Jack skeleton from Nightmare Before Christmas
Seen that.
is huge. It's got LEDs and shit on it and stuff, and people
Pretty
are
much
not.
Nightmare Before Christmas is coming back again.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is after people are done, everyone's using Santa hats on it. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm dressed in my 10-foot as a blues player.
oh yeah,
I'm gonna put a jersey on him and get Jen's friend made like a blues or blue. It's blue yellow beanie
Uh-huh.
and a scarf. I'm gonna put that on him too.
nice. Like we were talking about earlier, display lights are huge this year for your yard, like the ones you're talking about that they're doing. So I had that down. That's something that's really big, not just on your yard, but on your house as general for Halloween. Like where lights before in your house were like a huge thing.
Yeah.
and then the monster filled yards and cemeteries.
Yeah.
Like people are taking like all the skeletons, like small and the big ones, and like making it into a cemetery where they can like confine it where people can't go in and fuck with their props. But they're like making that in their yard, and I've seen like at least 10 of those.
You should see the cool ass one that's on the street, dude.
With all the blow ups.
It's got a lot of fucking skeletons and shit.
So I did see this. The guy's got, I guess, apparently people are saying he's like the Guinness Book World Record holder or something, and he had like, I don't know, 100 to 200 like inflatable Halloween things in his house. And he had them all over his house and everything.
It covers up everything but the house.
But the house, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and people were like, "Yeah, well, imagine living next to this guy with his electric bill." It was cool though. I mean, it was cool, like because you don't see that much, and it's like, where do you put all that stuff? But it's still cool.
I did see somebody. I don't know if it was a reel or if it was on Facebook or YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Or basically, somebody had like a what was it? I don't think it was. It might have been a Michael Myers, and yeah, that's it. Michael Myers had a ghost face, inflatables. But somebody, I guess, either the neighbors or some kids were just being stupid or whatever. They fucked with the way they stake, because you're supposed to stake them in the ground so they don't fly away or go away or whatever. They had them perfectly aligned where they looked like they were duking it out, fighting. Then they had the Mortal Kombat theme in the background, and you hear the psh, 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 psh.
What was it?
It was a Ghostface inflatable against the Michaels inflatable, and it's the way the wind was blowing. They were facing each other. They were duking it out, like fighting and shit. And they play the Mortal Kombat theme in the background.
Okay,
it was great.
You're great.
I know.
All right, so that's all I have for the Halloween you must have this year. If there's anything else, I don't know. Did you think anything else that you've heard this year?
Yeah.
I mean, I know people still play music outside sometimes for stuff, but that's not every,
given.
huh?
That's a given.
Yeah. And there people are still putting candy bowls, inside witch buckets or what do they call them?
Cauldrons.
Cauldrons and stuff like that. Yeah.
We did.
Okay, so now we're going into Tim's topic,
Oh boy.
and he's got a couple of them. They're pretty good. So get ready, folks. We're at the midway point of the podcast. So, what TV shows that are have the best Halloween, I guess, episodes? Or do you remember what was it? Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, basically ones that had Halloween specials.
Okay, we'll call them the Halloween specials. I know you had some, so I'll let you go ahead and start. And I have a list I wrote down for a lot of them.
I loved the Roseanne ones because they were really. Roseanne always had some of the best Halloween specials.
Mm-hmm.
They pull pranks on each other, like one year Roseanne was doing they were doing a ghost of Halloween past, present, and future kind of thing. And another one they had Dan and Jackie's husband in bed together because they said there's a rumor that they're gay. Yeah, which was great.
The only one I remember from a kid, I was trying to look up and remember episodes because Roseanne had a lot of Halloween specials.
Pretty much every season had one.
The one that turned Darlene into Satan or something, Satan Darlene they called it or something.
That one I'm not sure about.
I don't remember. I kind of remember that episode when she dresses up and everyone thinks she's evil and everything.
I know she had a goth face, or just where it started wearing black all the time.
I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it. But Roseanne had a lot. I remember.
She had a lot of really cool ones though. Home Improvement was another one.
Home Improvement had a lot too.
Those were really cool.
I think I remember the one where they fake Wilson's death.
Yep.
That's a good one. Yep. I remember that one.
Martin had a good one. The old show, Martin Lawrence's show. He had a really good one.
Man, that was a popular show, Martin.
Yeah, it was.
My dad.
Well, he's the one that popularized "What's Up," because that's the name of his radio station, and that's what he said, and then everybody started using it after that.
Yeah, that's how "What's Up" became. That's how it became pop culture popular.
Yeah, just from that TV show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a catchphrase, kind of like Urkel's. Did I do that?
Yeah. Family Matters, I remember had a lot.
Family Matters had a lot.
I remember there was one where they get they're going out for Halloween, but it gets canceled. It doesn't get canceled. Halloween doesn't get canceled, but they cancel it because it's like a storm happens.
Okay.
So they go inside the house and they tell like spooky stories and whatever, and like Urkel and all them are getting scared or whatever. And I don't remember. I just remember that as a kid.
Okay. Of course, South Park had them. Of course, I love the pink Christina Aguilera's, and the was it Piggy?
So, me being a South Park fanatic. I wrote down a lot of them, and most of them are not.
Let's go a different one first.
Yeah, okay.
Since you got a lot of them. Simpsons always had a great one.
I was say that I have the Simpsons on here too. The Simpsons had a lot.
Treehouse of Horror every single year was fucking phenomenal.
I remember the one where they did the poison food.
They did poison food. They did Send in the Clones when they cloned Homer with this magic.
I remember that one too.
Hammock.
Mm-hmm.
And they pretty much copied another movie or spoofed a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot, like of course the original, the Nevermore, Edgar Allan Poe.
Yep.
Bart was the crow, or the raven.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, just they don't do that no more.
No, they don't do that either.
Of course, Family Guy had some which were great, and they just the shit
they
got away with.
Didn't they have Mr. Burns as Dracula one time too?
Yeah, he was Dracula. He was also Voldemort.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was Monty Mort.
Monty Mort.
Or Voldy something like that.
What else? Yeah, Family Matters a lot. I remember that '70s show had them.
Yeah, they had some. Yeah,
they didn't have a lot, but they had some. One I remember.
Beavis and Butthead had a couple.
Beavis and Butthead had some.
It was great when Beavis was cornhole. He's like, "Trick or treat, son of a bitch."
Yeah, I remember as a kid, Garfield had a lot.
Yes,
Garfield had a lot of them. So did who else had some? Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown, of course, great
had some.
Yeah.
Now this is not really considered. I guess it's a TV show. WWE had them. They used to dress.
I didn't watch those were more recent, the NXT and stuff like that.
No, they had ones in the '90s.
Are you talking about Halloween Havoc?
Not Halloween episodes. They had people. They actually dressed up for Halloween when they came out, like a little bit. Like they were dressed up. I mean, they were doing characters or whatever.
Okay.
But apparently, they said they dressed up in Halloween. Maybe in the back, or they came out sometimes and dressed up in makeup and other things for Halloween.
Okay.
I don't remember that.
I don't either. I remember WCW had a pay-per-view called Halloween Havoc, where sometimes they dressed up somewhat
and maybe
Halloween-ish kind of
maybe
thing.
That's what it was.
And I know NXT and WWE recently had because for a while they couldn't use the name Halloween Havoc because somebody else owned it. So then after a while, I think one of their shows they finally got the rights to it, and they had like some of the hot girls were dressed up as Chucky and some of the other like horror guys, which I thought was really cool. I didn't get to see all of it, but I saw little clips here and there.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I forgot. I didn't think WWE would have some of that was like listed on one of the things. Like people that grew up watching this, they actually had a lot of stuff for Halloween. And it's like, well, that makes sense. I mean, they are doing
colorful character kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'll go into some '90s cartoons. Well, actually, no. I'm gonna go into the South Park one now before I go into the cartoons. But I didn't think they had that much. But now this is why I'm so pissed off with South Park because they don't do as much. But they had a lot. They had one. What's it called? Dead Celebrities. Remember that one with where MJ haunts Ike, Michael Jackson. He doesn't want to. Yeah, he don't want to die and do stuff.
That was a Halloween one.
Yeah, Dead Celebrities was a Halloween one.
I remember the Corn one was a Halloween one.
Corn's Groovy Pirate Ghost was a huge one.
Yeah.
Spooky Fish, the pet fish that's evil. Remember, it's killing people.
Kill on there and
kill whatever. Yeah, that was a good one. I like Spooky Fish.
Yeah.
Night of the Living Homeless. Remember that one where all the homeless people were going around asking for change and spare change? And
Damn, dude. Yeah, I forgot
they
about all
had some
these.
good ones.
I need to get back to watching some of those.
What's it called? Sons of Witness, where when Randy's spell making. Do you remember that one during?
Oh, when he was a witch.
Well, no, that's a different one. That's
a different one.
That's
Cock Magic.
No, that's not. It's what is that one called? No, I think that you're right. That is the That is sons of witches. Sons of witches. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, when he's spell making stuff, that's when they go out as witches night out. They call it. Yeah, with all the guys and they get drunk and fucked up and do drugs. And they act like they're witches.
Right.
And they actually get that witch to go in. Whatever, it's good. Nightmare on FaceTime. Remember that one?
Oh yeah, they were the Avengers.
The Avenger, he's like, "Hey, Bruce Blanche." I'm not Bruce Blanche.
Kyle was it Stan? No, Stan was on the
iPad because he couldn't go out because he was grounded or whatever, or he was sick or whatever. Yeah. And then Brandy buys a Blockbuster.
Yeah,
and it's haunted from old customers. What a fucking great. They're just fucking funny.
Yeah.
Pink Eye was.
Yeah,
that's the zombies one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. You get Worcestershire sauce and the embalming fluid.
Yep. Embalming fluid.
They call.
Yeah. Do not drink the Worcestershire sauce. and then Stan had to use it's called the chainsaw.
They were killing zombies.
And ended up killing Kenny with it.
Yeah. Because
he had to do it.
And they came back to life.
Yeah.
Kenny, I see your mom's poor. Kenny, you're poor.
Goth Kids 3. That's when they tell them that they send them to this Troubled Acres place, and they make them turn them to emo from Goth. That's a Halloween episode. I thought it was great.
Oh shit! I gotta get it watching these.
I know the Tegrity Farmed Halloween special.
Which one was that?
They're selling the special weed and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that doesn't help. That doesn't help.
They get the Halloween special, and or maybe it's not Halloween special. Oh no, it's the one where Shelly has a weed problem. When they're saying she has a weed problem.
Yeah.
And it's making it sound like she actually has a weed problem with it. She has a problem with weed, not a weed problem.
Weed, yeah.
And he's telling people, my daughter has a problem with weed. Or weed problem. Yeah, that's funny how they spun that, or how Randy spun that. So yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, there's so many. Dude.
And I told the wife, I was like, she doesn't really like watching Halloween movies, which is a given. Most women don't like Halloween stuff. Right. But I was like, we need to go back and watch all these during Halloween. And I'll be honest, dude, this is the first year, Tim, that I've only watched like a handful of Halloween stuff during Halloween. I haven't been watching a lot of Halloween movies. It's kind of been depressing and pissing me off, but
mine's just shit going on all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know you had that too going on, which it sucks.
But it's still, I'm trying to grieve by watching horror movies and stuff, but I can't.
Yeah,
because I'm just filming blogs. I was sick for a good couple weeks too.
Yeah.
And then the next one.
Well, yeah, the next one. So after South Park, so I got 90s cartoons. I forgot how many specials there were, but I do remember them. Are You Afraid the Dark had them?
Never watched the show.
It was such a good show. Well, you didn't really grow up as a 90s kid, so you
yeah, I did. I just didn't watch Nickelodeon then.
I know, but Nickelodeon was huge with all their Halloween specials. Yeah. Doug had them, which were awesome. Rocko's Modern Life had them. Cat Dog.
Animaniacs did.
Animaniacs. Arnold had them. Rugrats had them. DuckTales had them.
Darkwing Duck.
Ren and Stimpy had some.
Of course.
Our Real Monsters had some.
Never watched that.
I know you didn't. All that. I'm going through the Nickelodeon.
You're going through Nickelodeon shit.
Yeah. Kenan and Kel.
I know what that is.
Angry Beavers.
Angry Beavers. What?
Yeah, Angry Beavers had a Halloween special.
So two scissors.
Yeah, they used to have these things on. And I didn't know. I remember the names though. Nick or Treat used to be on.
I remember that.
Nick or Treat used to be on.
What was it?
Nick or Treat.
One more time.
No. Nick After School. It used to be like Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
I forgot that one too. Yeah. Clarissa Explains It All had a couple, and so did Pete and Pete, because those are more the not reality, but like sitcom shows.
Yeah, teenager sitcom.
Yeah.
Stuff, yeah.
And then obviously used to have a bunch of shows that Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Used to have a bunch of shit. So like Green Acres had some.
Yeah.
Now these are just shows from at Nick at Night that were around Halloween times, but still you get Dragnet and Get Smart.
Yeah.
Merrily Tyler Moore. Yep. Happy Days had some. MASH had them.
I think Mama's Family did.
Mama's Family did. I Love Lucy had them.
Of course.
Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
Bewitched, obviously she's a witch. That was Mr. Ed had them.
Yeah.
And these are shows a lot of people you're not going to know anything. I Dream of Jeannie had them.
Wow.
Now this is a great one because I know you love these, and so did I. Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Of course. Tales from the Dark Side.
And so did Gilligan's Island had them.
I never really watched that show.
Oh, I've
seen a few episodes here.
My dad was huge in that, but my dad always liked Nick at Night, and for Nick at Night used to be really popular. It was popular in the 80s, 90s, and I think it died.
It stopped in 2000s.
Huh?
I think it died out in 2000.
It did because my dad's like, I don't watch it anymore. I was like, what happened?
Scooby-Doo always had them too.
Scooby Doo had them.
I remember because they had Three Stooges on them.
Three Stooges. Three Stooges had some Halloween specials too.
It's actually 3D Stooge episodes too.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. One of the Jasons that Tom has is one of the movies comes with 3D glasses.
Oh, really?
And it's in 3D. I was like, gonna have to watch that.
Yeah. Some other stuff. Okay, so that's all the TV shows I had that I remember.
That's a fucking lot though, because that's pretty much a good, really, really good list.
I mean, that's mostly 90s shows though, right? I mean, because like we talked about before, like before we move to the next topic, is nobody does Halloween specials anymore. Yeah. They used to do the 30 nights of horror or whatever.
It's like 13 or something like that. It's not that they. Yeah. Well, they don't do horror. Well,
I think they
think 30 nights of Halloween, not so much horror anymore.
Or 30 nights one Halloween, whatever you call it. They had different names for it, whatever for shows or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember that as a kid, and everything was themed Halloween. Like it used to be thrown in our face with marketing, like everything, like every TV show we watched,
horror. Yeah.
Everything you turned on was about Halloween. Everything you turned on during the time was Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever it was. It's like we don't have themed TV stuff anymore.
I think that's just because society we're more diverse nowadays. You have every religion in America now, pretty much.
Well,
So,
there's a couple of reasons. One, when you're streaming, they don't have targeted stuff like
Right.
most people aren't on cable box TV
it's
no more,
general.
and you're not watching regular TV where that's all they talk about. And every
Right.
channel, everybody used to have basic cable
Yeah.
with a box, and they had 40 channels or 100 channels or whatever it was.
Right.
And every channel you went to, most of them, TNT, TBS, whatever, they had everything themed around Christmas, whatever else. Even when you turn on sports, they'd have Christmas stuff on
Yeah.
or Halloween stuff. That's just the way it was. They don't do that as much anymore. They still do during sports,
Right.
and they still do like Thanksgiving and stuff like that or whatever.
Yeah.
What I meant is, like, people aren't watching sitcoms. People aren't watching cartoons. I mean, I heard Cartoon Network's officially dead.
Oh shit.
I saw something the other day about it being officially dead. I don't know when it officially died off, but apparently it's officially
Probably
dead. It's like
recently, then I think.
I think it was this year, and it's like Cartoon Network's been around since like the 70s or 80s. I think it was in the 80s it started.
It was a different channel on. It wasn't Cartoon Network. It was called something else.
Yeah, but when it became Cartoon Network,
Yeah.
and it just died
Well,
off.
it became Cartoon Network was like early or late '90s.
It's kind of sad to see because Cartoon Network had it was just nothing but cartoons, and it had
Yeah.
Looney Tunes, and it had
And they started showing after that. They started showing adult-ish kind
Yeah.
of cartoons.
what was it called? Adult.
Robot Chicken. There
Yeah,
was Adult Swim.
Adult Swim,
Yeah.
right? And that was after hours of
Yeah.
when kids would go to bed or whatever. It was more
Exactly.
the adult cartoons, you
Yeah.
know. And you would think, I think someone said that, again, if it wasn't for South Park, Cartoon Network probably would have died off, and you
Yeah.
wouldn't have the Rick and Mortys. You wouldn't have a lot of stuff that evolved on there. Like that's how they became the idea of like let's do more adult cartoons because like people want to see this. It's not just
They saw it's. They took the Beavis and Butthead generation
Uh-huh.
and then evolved it into the South Park generation.
sure.
Because Beavis and Butthead basically paved the way of saying ass and butt munch stuff on TV when you get Kyle and Cartman
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
calling everybody.
But
you know.
everybody else would say, "Oh, this is dirty language." I mean, it was
Yeah.
still very conservative.
Yeah,
back then.
very. Yeah, very.
You know, when Beavis and Buddy came out, but South Park opened the door, like my
Yes, they
generation.
opened the floodgates, big
Yeah.
time, for
You know,
everybody to do that kind of shit.
There's just so many people that are so dumb though, like that don't know anything about cartoons. Like Family Guy, this and Beavis and Butthead that, or Simpsons. This. It's like, yes, you're right.
Simpsons did it. Simpsons did
You're
it.
right. It's like Simpsons was kind of like the first like child cartoon that had a little bit of raunch in it, a
Yeah.
little bit, not real raunch, but
More
like,
like pubescent 13-year-old kind of humor.
sure. And then Beavis and Butthead started doing the
15,
raunch,
16, 17
and then you
year-olds.
got it's like you got the extreme where South Park was the extreme raunch, like
Yeah.
the stuff that you wouldn't think anybody would be able to see on
Right.
TV, and they got
Right.
away with it, all of it,
Exactly.
and they never got really their hands slapped because
Yeah, they
the
never-
ratings and everything they got, if they did, they probably just paid the fines because they made 3 times the amount of money,
Yeah.
you know. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
But it sucks to see Cartoon Network die. That
Yeah,
sucks because
it
I used to
does.
watch, shows like Dragon Balls, even though that's not something like you're into or whatever. But like when I was a kid growing up, it was like the cool thing. It's kind of
Yeah.
like a Power Ranger show to me, whatever.
God.
You know, it's just fighting and
Mine
doing
was
stuff.
Voltron, man.
Voltron or
Yeah, fuck
Ninja
Power Rangers.
Turtles or anything
Yeah,
like that.
I know.
So I found out. Did I send you that thing on that reel? And do you watch any of my reels I send you?
Yeah, all the time.
Did you see the one about the Ninja Turtles in the second movie? What they had to do that I didn't notice growing up. So in the first one they have all their weapons and all their swords and
Yeah.
all the stuff, and they're fighting with
Oh
them.
yeah, they don't use them.
They don't use them in the second
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, you know why? Because in the cartoon they don't.
Yep.
That's exactly why.
Yep. They said because they didn't want to influence
Ninja.
kids to
Go
hit.
Ninja, go.
Yeah. Yep.
Go Ninja, go.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I was
I don't
like,
even know if they do in the new movies or not.
I think
I've only seen the new ones a couple times.
I have never seen them. Okay, so now we're gonna do movies that aren't considered they're Halloween movies, but they're not horror-ish. Like they're
Right.
more family friendly.
Right, family friendly horror.
I'll let you go first since you came up with this topic.
Some of them just come to mind are like Casper.
Mm-hmm.
To a point, okay, well, for me, a family-friendly one was Beetlejuice, but then of course I've seen it again recently, and I'm like, no, okay, that's not so much family.
I consider it a family movie.
Well, even the part where he grabs his nuts and goes, nice fucking mile.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. I
Me
love
too.
that part.
Me too.
But other than that, it's still kind of, it's not as bad as some of the other things.
Sure.
It's not horror. Nobody
But
dies.
even in the 90s, a lot of family movies still had some cussing and some other stuff in them.
Because that's PG-13 back then was you could say anything you want just as long as there was no blood. Now PG-13 is you can only say one fuck or one or two fucks.
Mm-hmm.
It changes with time every single time.
Yeah, they changed the context of what's in there.
And the code I forgot what they call it exactly, but some kind of Hollywood code where they do that.
Yeah, there's another one. All right, do you have any other ones you listed on there besides Casper?
Keep going.
Hocus Pocus is probably the biggest one.
That's.
I know. I think you put that on there.
I've never seen those. Never ever.
You know
ever.
what? I've seen the first one so many times because my sisters and my family. Now
That's
my wife.
understandable.
It's not that bad. I
You-
mean,
you had
but
sisters.
huh?
You had sisters,
Right,
that's
but you know, it is as a Halloween movie growing up for a family movie. It's really not that bad. It's actually pretty decent. You know, the newer ones, or whatever. I've never watched them. I won't watch them because I already knew what it was going to be about. It's going to be a carbon copy and just woke shit thrown in there.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. And that's why my wife said she turned it off. She couldn't watch the whole thing. But the original one, it's probably one of the most popular movies for family-friendly movies.
Right.
Ernest had a bunch of them. You know,
Ernest, yeah, Scared Stupid. I have not seen that in a long
I
fucking
know.
time.
It used to be on TV all the time when I was a kid. It's never.
ABC always had it.
Yep, Ernest one.
ABC or Family, whatever. it's
With
called.
like the little monster thing that was growing out of his head or whatever.
How about a bumper sandwich, booger lips?
Yeah. You'll remember this one, Little Monsters.
Of course. Yep.
And
yep.
that was a family-friendly one.
Yep.
And what's his name was a huge actor
Howie
back then.
Mandel and Fred Savage.
Yep.
Yep.
Was that Howie Mandel is the monster?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I never knew that.
Yep.
Not looking at him.
You can't really tell because he's blue and he's got horns and shit.
I never knew that was him.
Yeah.
How old was he in that movie, do you think?
Fuck.
20s, 30s?
Late 20s, early 30s.
I never knew that, dude.
Yeah,
I guess he was
that's
so
when
dressed up.
he was getting popular back then.
Yeah, I didn't know. I never considered Howie Mandel as popular, so maybe.
Well, he was an 80s thing. That was that's what he was. He had that raunchy-ish humor
Yeah.
and the smart humor.
Well, I know he's a big germaphobe, so he's really weird about all that stuff.
Yeah,
but
he hates shaking hands and stuff like that.
yeah. Adam's Family.
Yep, of course.
Was a big
Of course,
one.
That's always always a family favorite.
Yeah, I loved the Adam's Family when I was a kid. I loved that movie. Obviously, it's a given. Nightmare Before Christmas, obviously. And I don't remember these, but I do remember them. The Halloween Tree. It was like you don't remember that? Or Halloween Town. It was like two back-to-back movies you can do, whatever.
They sound familiar, but I've never.
It was like a cartoonish movie or whatever for kids.
Yeah, they sound familiar.
Charlie Brown,
Of course,
obviously,
yeah, great
had
movie.
one with the Great Pumpkin or whatever.
Yeah.
This was a given. The Witches.
Of course.
I mean, that was a great one. The hotel, and they turned him into a mouse
yeah,
and everything.
It's got Mr. Bean in it.
Mr. Bean, yep.
Yep.
Scooby Doo, obviously, had movies that were catered for Halloween, and it's just a given.
Yeah.
This was one I always liked as a kid. Sleepy Hollow
Yes.
was considered one. Was
Yes.
was one I really liked. And we already said it, but I put it on there anyway. 31 Nights of Horror used to be like 31 Nights of Horror movies.
Yeah.
Not TV shows, but actual movies. And
exactly.
it was on AMC.
Yep. It was around time where families would get together like 7 or 8 o'clock, whatever, right before bedtime, kind of thing. Almost.
Put the Michael Myers, the Jasons.
Bob.
Huh?
That's Bob.
Oh. So that's the movies. Do you have any other movies that these
You
are
hit them all. Shit.
the family friendly ones?
That's
I
all
mean,
the
there's a
ones I
lot more, but there's just ones I've never heard of.
The newer ones I don't pay attention to because obviously they're too toned down for me.
Mm-hmm.
The old, like I said, you hit all the older ones like Scooby Doo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you made a perfect list for it.
I mean, you can think about all these movies, and obviously some of the ones you like Casper's. I still watch that now. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie, but I watch it with my kids or whatever, and it still holds up to this day. Is things dated in every movie? Sure. There's things that probably wouldn't happen in Casper nowadays. That might have some tropes that are in it now because it's like that's one movie I've heard they're trying to they were talking about redoing. It's like, don't redo that movie, dude. Like, just leave it alone.
Right.
It's a good movie.
Right.
You know, they have cartoons of it and everything. It's just do something. Do the next one. Do the next Ghost movie or whatever.
Oh yeah, forgot like Hotel Transylvania.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And the Sandler movies.
What's that one where it's like it's just a haunted house and the family
Haunted
stay-
Mansion.
Haunted Mansion. I think that's one
Eddie Murphy
too.
ones.
I didn't think about that one. That's
Yeah,
that's a newer one.
Yeah,
But that's a movie, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Haunted
There's a
Mansion.
couple of them.
Um,
Have you ever seen the Family Guy movie when Stewie goes to the future?
no.
There's a how they have like snippets of like, oh yeah, I remember this time when I was on Scooby Doo kind of
Yeah.
thing, whatever. They had a part on there where Stewie was playing catch with Richie Rich, and if you looked at the old cartoons, Richie Rich and Casper looked very similar. So he's playing catch with Richie. He goes, "Hey Richie," or "Hey Casper, go long," or something like that. So he goes long, and then all you hear is this car going by and splat, and the ball rolling back to Stewie, and you see Casper as the ghost come back as Stewie. He's like, "Oh, sorry about that, man," and Casper's like, "That's okay. I was going to off myself on Tuesday anyway."
I'm thinking about it now. I should have put Family Guy in there. Even though I don't watch Family, I wonder if they have
You
Halloween
did say
special.
Family Guy. You did.
I did?
said, yeah. Yeah, those are getting. I've seen some really racy ones on there. They're really good. I mean, if they're obviously our me and your kind of humor thing, but they're getting really bad, especially with like I don't know what season it was because I have no idea where. I think they're on like 25 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But they had like Quagmire and Meg were dating and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
he's seen all these little kids running around.
Mm-hmm.
And they hint at it, stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's. Is there anything else Halloween related that we didn't have that we didn't touch on?
We've touched a lot, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I am at.
Yeah. I mean, is there any trends or anything we're seeing this year? Like you said about the candy, I don't know. We did last Halloween. We talked about all the different types of candy and all that stuff.
This year I think last year's was Reese's, and I think this year's was Snickers.
Was it the big one?
Yeah, the number one. I think.
I hate Snickers.
Dude,
I mean,
love
I don't hate them, but they're just. I just don't acquire really good taste. I mean, I can eat them, but they're just they're not my favorite candy by any means.
Right.
But I can't believe kids are into Snickers.
Right?
Or is it more the adults are in Snickers? Like who polls and who votes on this
Right,
shit?
exactly. Who's actually doing what they're saying?
Yeah,
the kids
I mean,
or the adults. They
nowadays,
just say 100 people.
What I've come to find out is there's so many candies and things that are like that have so much bad shit in them, like M&Ms.
Yeah.
Because all the dyes and all the stuff in them, like we don't buy them anymore because our kids are insane on them, and I realized there's a lot of stuff that they have in there causes cancer. Now, when we were kids, they didn't have this shit in there.
Right.
They've changed everything recently. That's why candies become ostracized. That's why like you're seeing people do different types of candy and put in different types of bowls, and people like recommend this. You have to ask, do you have allergies and stuff like that? And it's like that sucks, but that's the world we live in nowadays.
Yep.
Before we could just throw
things gotta be gluten free.
Yeah. So, let's see. Now I have. So we're getting towards the end of the podcast. I have some random questions. I always usually ask.
I forgot to get yours.
You forgot to get mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're stupid.
Well, no, I was gonna do the Marvel one, like I said, but
yeah, whatever. I always have random questions at the end of the podcast. You know, before final thoughts.
What you got?
So I got like 4 of them, dude.
Okay.
What do you look forward to that makes you get out of bed every day?
What do I look forward to?
Mm-hmm.
Living the day without fucking up and having an accident or burning my hands or something like that. Just living the whole day. I don't care about wasting the day because sometimes it's you could just be lazy if you want to.
Yeah.
So it's just just living out through the whole day and then doing it again the next day.
That's what you look forward to? That's fine. Yeah. I would have to say mine. What makes me get out of bed? That's kind of like what you look forward to, or makes you get out of bed, huh?
My bladder.
Your bladder. Yeah, that too. I would say honestly, I like getting up in the morning and prepping myself for my day. Now, do I look forward to every day? No, not by any means. But what gets me out of bed every day, I'll say right now, it's kind of obvious if you know me. It's gonna look forward to go do sports with my son, like going to play hockey and do stuff, which is a given. But really, I like getting up and just enjoying the day and looking forward to having peace and quiet when the kids go to school.
Yeah,
gets me out of the day for a little while. Some days I enjoy getting up and going to work, which is fun. But I say mostly what gets up every day gets me out of bed is just feeling good and feeling normal. I think that's something that's people take for granted. So like that's something I look forward to. But what makes me get out of bed is obviously my family. Makes me get out of bed in the morning. Right. I mean, if you have a family, that's just what it is. But I don't know. It's kind of a loaded question. It's kind of a double-edged sword. There's a lot of things that you get up during the day that you want to do, but you don't want to do. But then it has good consequences.
Sometimes you have to do
that. You have to do, right? Like not every day you want to get out of bed. Like there's days like you said, like I want to lay around and be lazy.
Right.
But to be honest with you, I like getting up early. I used to hate getting up early, and now I really look forward to getting up early and like starting my day. I'm starting to think about getting up and going to the gym at like 5 or 6 in the morning because I don't have time during the rest of the day. And then by the end of the day, I don't have to worry about anything. I just wind down and go to bed.
Yeah.
I think it's something you just do as you get older. And I honestly, I have more energy and I feel better in the morning. By the end of the day, like after work and everything, I just start getting tired and just feeling like shit.
Yeah.
Run down.
Right.
From the kids and work and just. Life.
Burnt out, that's all.
I've noticed too, if I've gotten older, like just today, like forgetting stuff that coming over here, my mind gets so bottled up with so much shit on the list that I can't think straight. And it's like I got too many, like you said, too many cooks in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. I got too many fires to put out. I'm like, holy fuck, why is it? I'm like, I need to calm down, think of one thing at a time. But then I always forget something. I don't do it on purpose, but I've been forgetting things more because I'm so distracted.
Yep.
You know.
You worry about one
So
thing
less-
and something else happens.
Yeah, so less distractions would be nice. But so what do you look forward to that makes you get out of bed? I'd say it's a combination of all those things.
Yeah.
But I like to get up. What I'm really looking forward to right now is getting up and being off work for a month on my PTO. That's gonna make me get out of bed here faster. But I think right now what's gonna make me out of bed is that we have fall. Well, we didn't really touch about this. Like it's fall time. There's beautiful weather outside. Getting up, having a cup of coffee in the morning, sitting outside with no noise, it's relaxing, good breeze. I've noticed too, like you said last year, like that crisp air and just breathing in just makes me feel so much better. You can get a good gust of air, and
you don't have that fucking dry heat. That
Yeah.
You just walked outside and
I think let's wrap it up with this on this topic is getting up in the morning. I like getting up and kind of prepping my day, but it's like the calm before the storm type of thing where I can kind of like gather my thoughts in the morning before everybody else is
plan
up.
everything out.
And then kind of plan it out, and then before you know it, once it starts and get the kids to school and everything else, like boom, the chaos starts, and it's just I kind of look forward. But before you know it, you look up the clock, and it's it's 7 o'clock at night, and dinner's over with and everything else. And you're like, where'd the day go? Oh yeah, and this is I'll be honest, like this is the fastest year of my life. Like I the other week I couldn't believe it was already like October 19th. I'm like, it's already halfway of October's already over with. I mean, before you know it, Thanksgiving and Christmas will be here, and it'll be the same thing. We'll be saying the same shit and singing the same song and dance. But, even going back and looking at our podcast, sometimes I look at it, I'm like, man, I can't believe it's already been a year or two that we've been doing podcasts. Now, we don't do a lot because we're busy.
Still, we got 20-something of them now.
Yeah, and it's, most people that are really dedicated to podcasts do a lot, but it's like, I don't have as much free time, and neither do you. And it's just like when we get to do it, it's more fun, and I look forward.
We get a lot out.
And I get to look forward to doing it too.
Yeah.
Where if I think we did it all the time, I'd be burnt out.
Well, we run out of topics.
We run out of topics and stuff too, and it's just I look forward to coming over and doing it more. But at the same time, I guess that was a loaded question. What do you look forward to makes you get out of bed? I mean, there's many things, right?
Yeah, depends on the day.
Depends on the day, and depends on the week. Like I get excited for stuff like it could be the new game that's coming out. It could do something or something I'm working on in the house or. It could be just simple as just having free time to myself.
Right.
I don't know.
Quiet.
I think the biggest one is just waking up and feeling normal every day and being in a good trying to be in a good mood. It's hard being in a good mood, man.
Yeah, it is. Nowadays, especially.
Unless you're like very fortunate and have all your ducks in a row and your health's good and you have a lot of money and everything else. It's like, and that does that make you happy in every day of the day? Maybe not. It could be short lived. I mean,
depends on the person.
Depends on the person. So, here's my next one. I told you I got a bunch of them.
You said you have 4.
This one's I think is a good one. Do you think more adults nowadays or what's the question? Do you think adults today have this more or less? It's called Peter Pan syndrome. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah, they want to be kids again.
Either they want to be kids again or they've never grown up out of being a kid. Do you think?
Yes.
Do you think?
I really think there's a lot. I can think of 7 people off the top of my head right now that are, if they could be Toys R Us kids with the next minute, they will.
Yeah.
They would, no question.
Well, and I guess and I guess it could be another low question. Do you think more now? There are adults that pretend to be adults and they still want to be kids and act like kids, and they're still. I guess it could be like us. We're adults all the time when we need to be adults, but
you know how to turn it on and off. That's what you're trying to say.
In a day, like we're still kids at heart, know.
Or I know I'm a huge kid, obviously.
Yeah,
you look around you.
Yeah,
I'm a huge kid, and again depends on the person. But I can tell you right now, there's a lot of people that would rather go back to being growing up in a teenage year. They would relive their teenage years, go through all that hell, than they are right now because there was no responsibility. They had specific rules like where you had to be home before the street lights went on. It's just little things like that people just it takes you back and takes you back to a good time. I could tell you right now that there were a lot of problems that I had when I was growing up, but would I do it again? No, because that whatever I did got me where I'm at right now and put my ass in that seat.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I change, I love seeing those movies that those guys who wish and they had a different wife or a different life before, and everything changes, and it just fucks with their heads because they're like, oh God, I was married to blah blah blah, or like now I'm married to what's her name? What movie is that? Mr. Destiny with James Belushi. he was married to like the hot prom queen because he hit the baseball. He hit the home run in the final game of the baseball game, and then but then he had a crush on his. I'm sorry. He got the trophy wife when he went back, but then he was actually missing his real original wife and stuff like that.
I think each adult and each kid, not even kid, I think most adults, I think a lot of them have Peter Pan syndrome. And what I mean by that is, obviously, everybody wants to go back to a time when they had no responsibilities and living the good life of being a kid and just waking up and just, doing what they want to do for the day and enjoying life and just relaxing. It's like you go from being a kid with no responsibilities, enjoying life, to an adult, and then at the end of your life, you get to go back to kind of being an adult child where you could kind of do whatever you want and no responsibility. I mean, you still have responsibilities, don't get me wrong, but
just not as many.
Just not as many, and you get your freedom back, right? Yeah. You get to live your life, and I think that's common with most people. But the other side, the double-edged sword of it is I think there's a lot of people, and we've said this before probably in different forms or different podcasts, is there's many people that grow up that never grow up. They're growing up, but they're never growing up, and they're still stuck.
They're aging, but they're not growing up.
And they're not kids. I know you have lots of friends. You could say that too. I know you've told me about it before, and I have friends like that too. And again, I hate judging people because you don't ever know what people are going through, and you never know how people grew up or what's going on, and maybe that's just really them at the end of the day. But there's tells with some people that they talk a big game and they do stuff, but they don't really, their actions don't really, or they talk something, but their actions don't really prove what they're actually saying, right? Yeah. It's just all bullshit at the end of the day, or smoke blowing. So. I mean, I'm not going to name any person on the podcast, but I have plenty of friends who act like adults, but they're not really adults. Yeah. And they're irresponsible, or they don't take care of their kids and their family.
They have the age, but they don't have the mentality.
Yeah, I'll just put it down there. A lot of them are just selfish in that way, right? And I think that has something to do with age as well. And, people eventually, I think, grow out of that kind of stuff, but there's just a lot of people that can never really grow up. They're just stuck in their ways. They're just the way they are, and so be it. That one of the words you said on one of our podcasts, so be it, whatever, is one of the new ones. I think that's just what it is. And apparently that's the reason I brought up Peter Pan syndrome is because I read it on Reddit, no pun intended, and people are going to see therapists over this and psychologists over this because they have real problems with it, and like it's affecting their way of life, and they're trying to get help for it. Right. I was like, what the fuck? I thought it was just like a thing that, it was just like anything else. It's like, well, I'm just, I'm a kid at heart, like kind of like I am, but it's like I'm an adult also, and like you, and I didn't know that was a real problem with people, but with this generation, and these people, and what's going on in the world, it doesn't surprise me with all the mental health things that are going on. So that's something that people call Peter Pan syndrome. Is that really diagnosis? I don't think so. I think it's more of just like people talk about it. Right. So, do you have any friends or you can say?
I don't want to say anybody's names, but they're. I mean, I like to listen anyway. But still, I know a lot of them who are, they follow Funko or they follow something that, ooh, this is coming out. The toys are coming out. Yeah, I get toys. Funkos are collectibles. I can't fucking talk. But then they don't. They put those things in front of the responsibilities. Like, I'm not going to say any names at all because I think he has listened to this one. There's a person I know who bought something very expensive toy-wise. I think it was like a Millennium Falcon, still in the box, kind of shit like that or whatever. But then he got a flat tire the next day going to work or something like that, and he didn't have the money for it. I'm like, well, why don't you just sell the Millennium Falcon? Do you really need that?
Go back and return it.
I need that. And I need it. I'm like, does it have a return policy? Yes, it does. Well, fuck, return it. You need wheels. Yep. You got to get to work in order to make money to order that shit.
I wish, real quick to interrupt you before I wish stores would bring layaway back. Where people,
that was the shit,
where people could just go in and give them the money
when they can.
I mean, it's kind of like a credit card in a sense, but there's no taxes around it. It's like, you really want to buy this from our store? Okay, we'll put it on here for you when you pay it, and you pay it all.
Kmart was huge about that. Yeah.
Why did it go away? I don't know. There must have been a reason. Taxes.
People weren't paying their shit.
They weren't.
They were just paying for it and just not picking it up, finishing the payments.
I don't know how that goes.
Well, plus a lot of the department stores, there aren't that many around anymore.
No, I know that. I just thought that'd be cool.
Said, Kmart was a big one.
Yeah. Well, the kind of layaway they do now is like you get a firm. You know what a firm is?
No.
Like Affirm is like you don't have to really have a good credit score for whatever, or maybe you do, and you can buy it off and they get really small amounts of interest on it, so you can make like payment plans, but it doesn't go on. It's not a credit card. It's kind of like a layaway thing where I could buy $1,000 laptop, put it on Affirm, and you can kind of figure out the payment plan that you want to pay on it, and then you pay it off, and then every month they just take it out of your credit card or checking account. And they make a little bit of money off interest, but not much.
Right, not as much as they would.
And if you like miss a payment or anything, it doesn't affect your credit score or anything like that, which is pretty good. So it's really big now with people.
Wow, okay.
There's a couple of companies. I know Firm's the biggest. My dad got me into it, and I was like, I've done it a couple of times.
Very cool.
Which just try something different. But yeah, I think like you're saying about your friend, I have lots of friends that have done that. You know what? And a lot of them I don't hang out with anymore.
Yeah.
I can't be around them anymore. Not because I don't like them. It's just because they live in the past.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say that, but it's just like I've moved on a different part of my life, and that's just what it is. It's not like I hate them or anything. It's just, it's weird being around them, listening to them, because it's like, man, do you still live and talk like you're 19 years old or 21 years old? It's like...
Still hanging on playing Nintendo?
God.
God.
So, Peter Pantrum, it's a new one I heard, didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
This one's kind of, all these questions are kind of more of kid questions, I would say.
That's fine.
Do you remember the last time you were a kid? And what I mean that in context, I mean, do you remember the last time you actually sat down and played with like toys or figurines or rode a bike or did any of the stuff that you did as a kid? Do you remember the last time that you actually did it?
Not the specific dates, but last time I actually rode a bike, I was either junior high or early, like sophomore, junior, or freshman year, high school. Because I remember I had to ride my bike to a place over here, actually where Brandon used to live, or close to where Brandon used to live. Used to ride my bike there to work, basically, because my parents wouldn't drive me. That's probably the last time I rode a bike. Figurine-wise, maybe around the same time. Because Tom and I had a bunch of wrestling figures and shit, and we used to play with those all the time.
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, I'd say probably high school, like early high school, first, second year of high school was the last time I actually did something like kid-wise.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would say the same thing. Like, do you remember the last time you were a kid? Well, it's a loaded question because I'm always a kid.
Yeah.
Like, still doing kid stuff. But really, like, to be like a real kid, I would say it was probably, like you said, probably freshman to either 8th grade or freshman year in high school or whatever. Yeah. Like, I still rode my bike. Playing with toys and figurines. Now, that's way later. I'd say probably 5th or 6th grade. I don't have a specific date at all either.
Right.
But they're like, the question came up, and they're like, do you remember actually last time you had this? And like, when did you start getting rid of your toys and stuff? And it's like, well, I never got rid of my shit. I kept it for a long time, and eventually I got rid of that stuff. But it's like, I still have figurines and toys in my room, just like you do. Do I play with them? No. Do I look at them? Sure. Yeah, I'm still. Technically, I'm still a kid, but the point of it is, it's like I don't remember that. I don't think most people remember it. No. But it's cool watching like my kids, like still be kids, and like going through and watching some of the stuff they do, because it's like
you get that little flashback while if you see Lincoln playing hockey, then you're like, oh yeah, I remember this.
I just remember like I built them like their first like real big fort not too long ago with my sister Ashley did, and then I built a bigger one or whatever, and it's like it was cool. And it's like, man, I used to do these all the time with my sister, and like we would just sit in them and sleep in them and watch movies and just do whatever, and it's like that's like an easy thing the kids to build forts probably. But it's like I watched my kids. I'm like, man, they get so much entertainment out of this stupidest shit. At the end of the day, it's like I want to. Sometimes when like my son plays hockey, I want to think like he's so grown up for his age. Like he's playing hockey, he's doing really well, and and then he comes back home. And it's like, yeah, I gotta remember myself. Like he's still a kid. Like he's going around the house and they're playing house, or he's dressing up and he's like, I'm gonna bomb this over here and blow this up. With this toy, or like before the next second he's got a sword and he's a medieval person, and the next second he's got a hockey stick in his hand, and he goes from like 0 to 100. He changes things. And then he goes back to being a little boy where he's on the carpet or the ground now, and he's just playing with cars.
Or even just so much as falling and scraping his knee a little bit, calling for mommy.
Yeah, he still does that stuff. Whatever.
Like
he's like the other day I watched him. He's on the windowsill and he's just playing with cars, making car noise and going to our house. And it's like, dude, yeah, he's still a kid. Yeah. As much as like you, and that's a thing that you can think about a lot of times with his kids. Like, there's a lot of people that just don't let kids be kids. Like they think they have to be grown up at all times, like minding and knowing how to do all this stuff. It's like, dude, they're kids.
They don't know any better.
They don't know any better, and they're just they're just immature. Their
Yeah.
brains aren't developed, and they still want to have fun. And at the end of the day, it's like, Lincoln goes from playing hockey, like I said, and coming home, and he's doing this kid stuff. It's like, man, yeah, he's just a kid,
Right.
Or Lila doing the same thing. So at the end of the day, I don't remember when I was a kid, but it's cool watching kids still be kids.
Oh yeah.
It's not like I want to do that kind of stuff, but like I don't mind helping them or play with them once in a while. But like watching them play by themselves and do it, sometimes I just kind of sit there for a minute and watch, and it's like, it's kind of cool how you can entertain yourself and do your own thing. I mean, we can do it ourselves too, but it's
Yeah.
not as
But not like
we're
that.
not having as much fun as they are.
We don't have much as imagination. It's because we know things.
Yeah,
So if the kids have such imaginative minds.
yeah, it's cool. It's kind of it's cool watching how innocent they are and just like they're just living in the moment, having fun. Like no distractions.
Right.
They don't know nothing about going in the world. They don't care about who's president, who's paying taxes,
Exactly.
what's on my test tomorrow,
How
what
do I
job.
get that roof over my head? How do I
Right.
get lights turned
All
on?
they care about is like, hey, this toy's cool, and I'm gonna go
Exactly.
slamming into that other toy
Exactly.
and fuck this thing
I'm
up.
gonna pop Barbie's head off.
So
I'm gonna
eh,
piss my sister off. Pop the head off.
exactly. So last one.
Okay.
Okay. And, what is the best adult choice you made and why?
Fuck. That's a deep one, man.
I know.
Oh man.
I know. That's why I come up with these little these brain burners here at the end.
I think what started it, my adulthood. Oh fuck. Was moving away after after I graduated, because I was on my own right then and there. I had to basically run before I could even crawl, because my parents would never teach us anything about paying bills
Mhm.
or having an apartment or anything like that, or even for anything something like that. So I think that was the start of it all for me. Yeah, because it was a big decision. It was either, stay under Dad May's house and go by their rules and their shit, even though I'm 18 now at the
Mhm.
time. So it's like be that or be a man. So I said, fuck it, no, be a man.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I had my own apartment for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Moved back, of course, but still, you know.
Well, that tends to happen with a lot of kids your age. The parents become so demanding on stuff. They want you to grow up and be an adult 18, which 18 is still. I don't
still
think you're an
young.
adult. You're still
No.
you're very immature. You're still young. You're
Yeah.
still trying to figure out life. And that's I always think May and was a piece of shit for making you guys like pay rent to live at their house and do all this other shit. And it's like my mom used to be like, "What are you doing?" My mom actually said to her a bunch of times like, "What are you doing?" Like he's trying to like make money and save and live his life, and you're literally crippling it by doing this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it made you the person you are today, which made you probably a better person getting up and
Oh, it made me much.
had to grow up a lot earlier than most kids, most people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. About you?
What is the best adult choice I've made and why? Man, it's a hard one. I would
That's
say
your question.
so. Yeah, I had a lot of time to think about this, but I thought about it this morning a little bit because it came up that last night, but I was kind of tired when I thought about it. Was the best adult choice I made and why? I guess I could say around the same age, around 18, was my best choice was I didn't rush into college.
There you go.
And I think that is something that more people need to be taught and told in this generation of where people used to be like, you have to go to college and everything has to be dependent on college, which used to be true.
Yeah.
Like 70s, 80s, early 90s, college was a huge thing. Not saying college isn't good to be educated on something, but for me, if I would have rushed in, I think I would have went even more broke than I am now. I don't think I would have had the same career choices that I had. And I think I would be in debt in my ears. And who knows how my life would have turned out.
Right.
But I think and this is just for me, I think taking off and kind of like taking a step back, even though I went to college for a little bit at first to play hockey, and I was like, this isn't for me. And I'm like, the college shit, the rules and all this stuff. And it's like, I wasn't going to go anywhere in hockey. So I stayed with it for a year and that took off. And I was like, you know what? I'm taking off. I'm not going to school. I'm going to work a job. I found a good job, worked in construction. And I was like, I'm going to kind of figure out what I actually want to do. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I think that's most people at our age, right?
Well, with what I used to, my mentality used to be was, before I was 18, I always had to do what my parents told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to do what I want to do.
Yep.
It's like I'm just going to sit back and think about what I want to do.
Yep.
I didn't go back to college I didn't go to college period till I was like 35.
Right.
So it's nice to have that opportunity that you could still do that. I had all my fun in my 18 to 20 something year old years, and that grew me, like you said, to what I am today. And that's just for me, I think that's best is if you take a year or so after high school and decide what you want to do, not what your parents want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And kids nowadays probably will get that because there's, they're more independent anyway.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird, but at the same time, it's like I kind of forced myself into doing it because I was, I think at the time I was kind of mad because I was like, all my friends are going to college and they're figuring out what to do. I think most kids go through that. Like everybody knows what they want to do, and I think 99% of the kids don't know what they're doing. They're just being told what to do, right? Or just kind of being pushed into that situation. And it all worked out for me. And I still remember, like, I was at work. And I talked to my buddy Brandon. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going to tech school for IT." And I'm like, "What's that?" Like, I knew what tech school was, but I was like, I didn't really understand. He's like, "You can come do a tour and walk around. I'll show you, whatever." And I was like, "Okay." So I came in. I met his teacher. Walked around. I'm like, "This is actually pretty cool." Like what I went through. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to school. And I got a little push from my girlfriend at the time to go back to school, which is now my wife. And
I was like, was that Laura?
yeah. And it all worked out because eventually I got laid off and then I got into IT and I've been in IT ever since. But it's like I always had a niche for it, but I didn't. Even at 18, it's like I always liked that stuff, but I didn't know I was going to make that into a career. It was like kind of like an afterthought. It's like, yeah, I could see myself doing
that's
this.
the thing. You don't know what path you're going to be taking or what's going to happen.
Right, and I actually liked my job at the time. I was like, I could do construction. I liked it. I knew the money was good, and I liked working with my hands. I liked being outside at the time, but I didn't like working in all the elements. But I liked working with all guys and doing stuff, like having that camaraderie with guys. And but I think that is one adult choice I made at a young age because I was kind of an adult. Yeah. I grew up a lot younger or at a younger age than most kids did, and I think that was a good choice I made, and it worked out for me in the long run. But if I like I said, if I would have went and did something different, I mean, there's a lot of adult choices. I mean, maybe that's just one I just picked off the top of my head. I don't know if there's a better one.
Just depends,
Everything's situational. You can look at it, what we said with the forks in the road. You could take this choice or this choice, and which one you chose better. I mean, it could have been the adult choice. My parents gave me the choice of which school I want to go to. Like, do I want to go to a private school or do I want to go to a public school when I was in high school? And I chose the public school. And it's like, okay, I had two choices. Could have went this way and that way. And it's like, I think it worked out, And like you said, it's like, my parents kind of just told me, like, well, you can go to college or not, but we can't afford it right now, so you're going to have to figure it out and do it yourself kind of way. And it's like, okay, so I have to pay for my own college, pay for my own shit. Like, they didn't have the money or the means to pay for me, and I kind of had to realize it's like, okay, well, either suck it up, buttercup, and do it, or stop being a pussy and just realize, you can go to school or you can't. And I wasn't ready. I think that's a lot of things that happens. I wasn't ready mentally. And I don't know how many kids nowadays are in the same boat, but it sucks that there's still like this stigmata that you have to go to school and you have to do this, and it's like you shouldn't go to school unless you're ready to go to school.
Right.
I was burnt out by the time I got to college. I was like, man, I don't need.
I was like 12 years already of school, man. Come on, I want 4 more.
Yeah, I wanted some freedom. I wanted some money. I wanted to do some other stuff. And it's like, at least back in the 70s, 80s, like you didn't have to go to college. You didn't have to go to college, and you could still do a trade job and make a living. And I think that's what is different nowadays. People are starting to go backwards where more people are not going to college, but they're going to trade jobs, or they're trying to influence kids to go to trade jobs because there's so many kids that still think you have to go to college to make a living, and there's so many people that need trade jobs now that if my kid wants to do a trade job, I don't give a shit. But I think it's just one of those things that needs to change in the world is the college thing, because with how expensive everything's becoming, it's like, okay, you really want figure it out now, because before you know it, you're gonna have $80,000 to $100,000 in debt you have to pay off for a long time to go to a 4-year college, and you better make this like your career choice, because dude, I'm still paying off college,
right? And
that's what sucks. I'm 37 years old and I still have college debt. I shouldn't have college debt.
Jen's 45 and she's still paying hers off.
Is she?
Yeah.
It's wild to think that that's just one thing it's one thing that's not forgivable. It's student loans, and it's like, I think, well, one, college should be cheaper, and two, I think that there needs more education around, like, kids shouldn't rush in at 18, but you grow up so fast. I think that they just want to get you in and get you out before so you don't go away and never come back to college while you're still in the routine.
Right.
I mean, there's always two sides to that story. So I don't know. That's my end of my questions. You got any end questions? You good?
No, I'm good.
Why not?
Because I don't have them.
Because you're an idiot.
No, I'm gonna get you good ones next time.
Okay. So final thoughts on this podcast, boys and girls. You know, it's Halloween 2024. Kind of excited to see what's going to end up happening on Halloween. It's on Thursday this year.
Yeah, it sucks.
Which is weird, but, you know, I might just take off the next day with the kids.
Yeah,
you know, not do anything.
Shit.
I don't think I'm dressing up this year because last year I dressed up as Malfoy with my bleach blonde hair.
Your Eminem, Ellen DeGeneres.
Which was cool. But this year I don't think I'm gonna dress up. There was nothing I want to do. There's themes I want to do. My son and daughter didn't want to do it, so I don't think I'm dressing up this year, which is fine. I mean, I got plenty of Halloween still dress up and do stuff. And maybe when I hand out candy, maybe I'll just put a mask on or something. But
you're welcome to borrow Jason mask.
Yeah. What about you? Are you guys handing out candy or doing anything?
Yeah, we got a shit ton of candy upstairs.
Do you?
Yeah, a big fucking cauldron full. Probably would bring out the big skeleton. His name is Monty, by the way. The 10-foot skeleton, dress him up, put him on the carport or in the carport. Bring a table out there and just hand out candy or just put stuff on the table. They can grab what they want. You know. Have a ball with it, like because last year was the biggest turnout of Halloween in a long time, and now that we're both on a local page on Facebook, we told, hey, we're handing out candy on, Parkway in Palm, and so people know an idea of where there's candy.
Yeah,
there used to be a thing on the local page that had a map of streets that were handing stuff out, so maybe they do that again. We'll see. And plus, we're 2 streets away from that Brenthaven Manor thing I told you about last year. They're doing it again this year.
Yeah.
So, which is going to be really cool because if they use that neighborhood, if they were smart, we're only 2 streets over. They can bring their kids over here too.
Yeah.
And take some of our candy because we had so much left. With all the shit we handed out last year, we still had a lot left over, of course, because we always overdo it.
Yeah.
Because we've been to events like for school at the college I went to, we were out of candy within like 20 minutes sometimes 30 minutes, and they had a lot too. So it's always good to over prepare on candy because it's not like you can't hand it out at work if you don't want, or if you want it, that kind of shit. So it's always good to prepare for Halloween no matter what. Think of every angle.
I think so too, and every year we buy all this candy. We don't get as many trick or treaters as we used to. But we bring a lot of candy over to my mom's, and I think tradition now is like we go to my mom's because she's got a huge neighborhood, a lot more kids, and we can hang out more candy, which is fun. I enjoy it, and we cook chili and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But at the same time, I think people are, like you were saying earlier, and for the final thoughts, is people are more prepared, and I think people are enjoying Halloween more again. Because I think, like we said, during COVID, people were like, yeah, fuck Halloween. And it started the trunk or treat trend, like, more up than it was. It was trending more up because of being safe and then just because of, I don't think people used to go walk door to door as much. Now everybody's walking door to door more. I think the traditions are kind of, like, slowly fading back into that. And, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool to see what Halloween's still doing and still going.
And it's starting. Like I said, with them, the store bringing stuff out early this year, it came back good. I'm hoping. I'm really hopeful.
I'll probably buy a lot of candy and eat it myself. That's what's gonna end up happening, which is kind of like
I'll
good.
Probably give you some of ours too.
Yeah. The other cool thing about it is it's just my favorite time of the year. The weather and the dressing up and just having fun and
hockey starting,
hoodies, Halloween.
Yeah.
All the cool 3 H's,
right.
3 B's, more booze, more bullshit, more butt fucking. Oh, that's such a good movie. That wouldn't be a movie you couldn't do nowadays either.
No, fuck no.
Not at all.
Hell no.
Yeah, so that would get canceled real quick. But, so one more thing I want to talk about. I just thought about this on my phone real quick, and then we'll shut up. Is do you ever get time hops on your phone? Like, do you go on your Facebook and get like an old post that you post about from like 5 years ago on this day or whatever, you made this post or whatever. Now, there's 2 things that I was gonna say about this. One, you like look at the post and like sometimes they're okay posts or whatever, but you look at them and they're like, man, this is cringe as fuck. Like I posted this and said this shit because like you've matured since those years. Like when I posted shit from like 10 years ago, I'm like, what am I posting on here? Right. And why do I say this stupid shit? But I did because I was young and dumb and immature, full cum, and you look at it, and then you look at the comments, and you laugh sometimes at some of the comments or whatever. But the biggest one to me, I always look at now, which is kind of funny, but kind of it's just what it is you'll look at who liked your post, and you'll go to the top, and it'll be like most of your friends or whatever. You go to the bottom, it'll be a lot of people that used to have as friends that you're no longer friends with, and you're like, oh, I didn't know this person wasn't friends with me anymore. So you just like see people that you're not friends with anymore. They don't, it's like, okay, I guess this person doesn't like me anymore, or we have nothing in common anymore, and they just remove me because they don't like listening to me talk about hockey and other bullshit on there, which is fine, but it's funny because it's like, I didn't know this person left my Facebook, and I probably do the same thing to other people that I've removed from Facebook. So I don't know what you think about that.
Well, for me, it's. I always look back and I'm like, I fucking put that. That's great.
Yeah.
I'd get in trouble for that nowadays.
Yep.
Or I get a lot of the content not availables a lot, and I'm like, man, what the fuck was that? I want to know what it was. And then you look at the comments, and everybody's laughing. Everybody's putting a comment on there, and it's like, fuck, man, what was it? God damn it.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's weird. At the same time, it's funny. I like the time hop back thing, but at the same time, it's like, oh, this person's not friends with me. It's like, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And I kind of think,
well,
it's
so
like,
be it.
and I kind of remember, it's like, did I hang out with this person doing it? No. It's like, no, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I always look at that, and the comments are always really funny too.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one girl that always has like a time hop, and she'll like post in her old time hop and see people comment it, and she'll be like, look how immature I was or whatever. And some of them are pretty funny, but sometimes it's like, okay, I'm not gonna say this, but I want to say it so bad. It's like, you just stop seeking attention. Like, you're just always looking for attention. She's one of those people that always want attention.
See, the ones that friends that I know that I do that, like I'm like, they're like, well, compare me to now from like 2 years ago. I'm like, okay, you want me to be honest? Yeah, be honest with me. Your boobs are saggier.
Yeah.
Saggier, not saggy, saggier.
Right.
And they get pissed off at me. I'm like, hey, you asked me a question, I answered it.
Right. That was it. That's my last question of the thing I looked at. I just remembered that. I was like, because I just looked at my Facebook real quick. Someone commented on something. And I was like, and I looked, and an old time hop came up, and I was like, it's just what it is. So, all right, boys and girls, hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Happy fucking Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Have a safe Halloween. Make sure you guys eat plenty of candy and stay scared and spooky.
Spooky scared?
Spooky scared?
Yes.
What's your final thing you say? Remember, kitties, stay scared.
Kitties, stay scared.
He didn't say it.
It's okay.
All right, remember, kitties, stay scared.